Amaka, look around you. Does anything here look like the kind of place you belong? I know I don't have what you have, Zara, but I never came here to compete with you. Compete with me, please. You couldn't, even if you tried. Everything you dream about having is normal life to me. I thought you were my friend. I didn't know you saw me this way. Friends should know their boundaries. Just because my family welcomed you doesn't suddenly make us equals. Maybe I'm poor, Zara, but I would never make someone feel small just because I have more than them. Then stop acting like you belong in my world. One day, Zara, you might discover that money isn't what makes someone rich.
"20-year-old Amaka woke up before sunrise to the sound of her mother coughing beside her. Their one-room apartment was still dark, and the only light came from a small rechargeable lamp on a plastic table near the bed. The room was small, so small that almost everything they owned could be seen from where Amaka slept. There was one old bed which her mother used, a thin mattress on the floor where Amaka slept, 2 plastic chairs, a wooden cupboard, a small table, and a curtain covering the corner they used to keep some of their clothes and cooking things. Outside their room was a narrow passage shared by other tenants, and at the end of the passage was the bathroom everyone in the compound used. Amaka opened her eyes when she heard another deep cough. She quickly sat up and looked at her mother. Ngozi was sitting on the edge of the bed, one hand pressed against her chest. She looked weak and tired. "Mama, are you all right?" Amaka asked as she moved closer to her. Ngozi lifted her hand and tried to smile. "I am fine. Go back to sleep." Amaka frowned because she knew her mother was not fine. For weeks, Ngozi had been saying the same thing, even when everyone could see that her health was getting worse. "You are not fine," Amaka said quietly. "You were coughing almost the whole night." Ngozi turned her face away. "It is nothing, maybe because of the cold." Amaka picked up the bottle of water beside the bed and gave it to her. Ngozi drank slowly before handing it back. Amaka watched her mother carefully. There had been a time when Ngozi was always the first person awake in the compound. She would get up before 5 every morning, prepare food, arrange everything inside large bowls, and leave for the roadside where she sold rice, beans, stew, and sometimes fried plantain. On the days when food business was slow, she accepted cleaning jobs in nearby houses. She had never been ashamed of hard work. Whenever Amaka complained about their situation, Ngozi always told her that poverty was difficult, but it was not something a person should allow to destroy their dignity. She had raised Amaka alone from childhood, and although Amaka had asked many times about her father when she was younger, Ngozi never gave her a clear answer. She only said that some people left when life became difficult and that Amaka should focus on the people who stayed. As Amaka grew older, she stopped asking because she could see that the subject always made her mother uncomfortable. For most of her childhood, it had been only the two of them. They had survived together, laughed together, cried together, and managed whatever little they had. But now, Amaka was afraid because the strong woman she had always depended on was becoming weaker every day. "Did you take your medicine last night?" Amaka asked. Ngozi hesitated. "I took it." "Mama, I said I took it." Amaka reached for the small nylon bag where her mother kept her medicine and looked inside. She immediately noticed that some of the tablets that should have been finished were still there. "You did not take all of them." Ngozi sighed and looked away. "I am trying to make them last." Amaka stared at her. "The doctor said you should take them the way he wrote it." "And when they finish, who will buy another one?" Ngozi asked. The question silenced her daughter. Ngozi continued softly. "Amaka, the money is not there. I still owe the woman at the pharmacy. The landlord has already come here twice. The food business has not been moving because I cannot stand outside for long anymore. We cannot behave as if money will fall from the ceiling." Amaka lowered her eyes. Those were exactly the problems she thought about every night before sleeping. She had recently finished secondary school after several interruptions caused by unpaid school fees. She wanted to continue her education. She wanted to attend university and study something that would give her a good future. But even buying an application form seemed like a luxury. Now, sometimes she saw young women her age online wearing beautiful clothes, attending university, going out with friends, and taking pictures in nice restaurants. She did not hate them, but she often wondered what it felt like to live without thinking about the price of every single thing. In her own life, even buying a small bottle of drink could make her feel guilty because she would immediately think of what the money could have bought for her mother. "I will find something," Amaka said. Ngozi looked at her. "What?" "Work. You have been looking. Then I will keep looking." Ngozi shook her head. "I do not want you to throw your future away because of me." Amaka almost laughed, but there was no happiness in it. "What future will I have if I sit here and watch you get worse because we cannot buy medicine?" "Amaka, Mama, please." Her voice became softer. "You have done everything for me since I was born. Let me do something too." Ngozi stared at her daughter for several seconds. There was pride in her eyes, but there was also pain. She reached out and touched Amaka's cheek. "You are still young." "I am 20, Mama." 20 is young. It is old enough to work." Ngozi smiled weakly. "You have always had a stubborn head. Maybe I got it from you." For the first time that morning, Ngozi laughed a little, but the laugh quickly turned into another cough. Amaka held her shoulder until it passed. That moment settled the decision in her mind. She had to find work, and she had to find it quickly. Later that morning, after making a simple breakfast of bread and tea for her mother, Amaka left the compound with a small handbag and walked through the busy street, stopping anywhere she thought there might be work. She asked at a supermarket, but they told her they were not hiring. She entered a small restaurant, but the owner said she needed someone with experience. At a clothing shop, a woman looked at her from head to toe before asking if she knew how to use a computer. Amaka admitted that she knew only the basics, and the woman told her they needed someone more experienced. By afternoon, her feet hurt and the sun had become hot. She bought a small sachet of water and stood under the shade of a building, trying not to cry. She had been searching for work for almost 3 weeks. Every place wanted experience, connections, or some qualifications she did not have. She was about to return home when she heard someone call her name. "Amaka?" She turned and saw Mrs. BC, a middle-aged woman who lived 2 streets away from their compound. Mrs. BC sometimes helped people find domestic workers, cleaners, and drivers. She was carrying a handbag and a small shopping nylon. "Where are you coming from?" she asked. "I have been looking for work." "Again?" Amaka nodded. "Nothing yet." Mrs. BC studied her for a moment. "Can you work in somebody's house?" Amaka's face changed slightly. "Cleaning?" "Not just cleaning. House help. Live in." Amaka became quiet. She had never imagined herself living in someone else's house and working as a maid. Mrs. BC noticed her hesitation. "It is not a small house," she explained. "The family has money. Very big house. You will have somewhere to sleep, food will be there, and they will pay you every month. The woman who was working there left because she went back to her village. They need somebody quickly." "How much?" Amaka asked. Mrs. BC told her the amount. Amaka's eyes widened slightly. It was more than she had expected. If she saved most of it, she could buy her mother's medicine, support the house, and even begin putting something aside for school. "Where is the house?" Amaka asked. "Around Lekki, very good area." "What kind of people are they?" Mrs. BC hesitated for a second. "The man is fine. He travels a lot because of business. The wife is..." She paused and searched for the right words. "She likes things done properly." Amaka understood immediately that there was something Mrs. BC was not saying. "Is she difficult?" "Just do your work and respect yourself. Do not argue. Their daughter is around your age too. She's in university." "Around my age?" "Yes, 20 I think." That made Amaka more uncomfortable. Working as a maid for someone her own age was not something she wanted to imagine, but then she remembered her mother's medicine. Pride could not pay hospital bills. When do they need someone? As soon as possible. "I can do it." Mrs. BC looked surprised. "You are sure?" "Yes." "Talk to your mother first." Amaka nodded. That evening, Ngozi was not happy when she heard about the job. "Live in their house?" she asked. "Yes." "You will live here?" "I can still come and see you on my off days." Ngozi's face fell. "I do not like it." "Mama, they will feed me there. That means we will even spend less money here." "It is not food I am thinking about. I do not know those people." "Mrs. BC knows them." Mrs. BC knows many people. That does not mean she sleeps inside their houses and knows how they behave. Amaka sat beside her mother. I need to try. Ngozi looked at her daughter and sighed. You should be preparing for university, not going to wash plates for people. The words hurt Amaka, but she knew her mother was not trying to insult her. Ngozi was angry at their situation, not at her. It is temporary, Amaka said. I will save money. When you are better, I can begin thinking about school again. Ngozi looked down at her hands. I feel like I failed you. Do not say that. Look at you. At your age, you should be thinking about your own life. You are my life too. Amaka, Mama, if you stop me because you are worried, I will still go out tomorrow and continue looking for another job. At least this one is available now. Ngozi remained silent for a long time. Finally, she said, if anybody treats you badly, leave. I will. If anything makes you uncomfortable, you call me. I will. Do not allow money to make you stay somewhere dangerous. Amaka nodded. I promise. 2 days later, Mrs. BC took Amaka to the Williams family home. The moment their taxi turned into the estate, Amaka sat straighter and began looking through the window. The roads were clean, the houses were large, and everywhere looked quiet. There were high fences, security cameras, and beautiful gates. It was completely different from the noisy area where she lived with her mother. When they arrived in front of the Williams mansion, Amaka thought Mrs. BC had given the driver the wrong address. The house stood behind a tall gate, and even from outside, it looked bigger than some schools Amaka had seen. A security guard opened the smaller gate after speaking with Mrs. BC. They walked through a paved compound with neatly cut grass, flowers, and several expensive cars parked near the house. Amaka tried not to stare. Close your mouth, Mrs. BC whispered jokingly. Amaka quickly looked at her. My mouth is not open. Your eyes are doing enough opening for the whole body. Amaka smiled nervously. When they entered the mansion, her nervousness became stronger. The sitting room was large, bright, and carefully arranged. The furniture looked expensive. There were decorations that Amaka was afraid to touch because she imagined one small mistake could cost more than her mother's yearly rent. A woman walked into the room a few moments later. She was in her late 40s, elegantly dressed and well made up even though she was inside her own home. She carried herself with confidence and looked at Amaka as if she were examining something she wanted to buy. Good afternoon, madam, Mrs. BC greeted. Good afternoon, the woman replied. Her eyes remained on Amaka. This is the girl. Yes, her name is Amaka. Very responsible girl. I know her family. Patricia looked Amaka over slowly. How old are you? 20, ma. Patricia raised an eyebrow. 20? Yes, ma. You look younger. Amaka gave a small, polite smile. Patricia did not smile back. Have you worked as a house help before? No, ma, but I know how to clean, cook simple meals, wash clothes, and take care of the house. Simple meals, Patricia repeated. What does that mean? Amaka listed the foods she could cook. Patricia listened without showing whether she was impressed. You will not be doing all the cooking. We have someone who comes for that. Your main work will be cleaning, laundry, helping in the kitchen when needed, attending to my daughter and making sure her room is in order. You will also do whatever other household work I ask you to do. Yes, ma. I do not like laziness. Yes, ma. I do not like people touching what does not belong to them. Yes, ma. And I do not like stories. If you break something, tell me. If you are sick, tell me. If you want to leave, tell me. Do not disappear and then send somebody to come and collect your salary. Amaka nodded. I understand. Patricia turned to Mrs. BC. She looks too soft. Mrs. BC laughed lightly. She is hardworking. We will see. Patricia looked back at Amaka. You will have one day off sometimes, depending on what is happening in the house. Your salary will be paid at the end of every month. Do your job properly and there will be no problem. Thank you, ma. Just then, footsteps came from the staircase. Amaka looked up and saw a young woman coming down while looking at her phone. She was beautiful, tall, and dressed in a way that immediately showed she came from money. Her hair was neatly styled, her nails were long and polished, and even the slippers she wore looked expensive. When she reached the last step, she finally looked up. "Mom, who is this?" she asked. "The new help." The girl's eyes moved to Amaka. "Huh? Yes, Zara." Zara looked surprised. "She is so young." Patricia answered. "She is 20. Zara laughed once. "She's my age?" Amaka felt heat rise to her face. Mrs. BC looked uncomfortable. "Yes," Patricia said, "and I expect you to treat her as a worker, not as your friend." Zara gave Amaka a long look and then shrugged. "As long as she knows what she is doing." She turned and walked away without greeting her. Patricia did not correct her. That was Amaka's first meeting with Zara Williams. By the end of the week, Amaka had moved into a small room behind the kitchen area. It was still better than she had expected. There was a bed, a small wardrobe, and a bathroom nearby. On her first night there, she sat on the bed and called her mother. "Have you eaten?" Ngozi asked immediately. "Yes." "Are they treating you well?" "I just started." That is not an answer. "Mama, I am fine." "How is the woman?" Amaka looked at the closed door before answering softly. "She is strict." "Strict or wicked?" Amaka smiled beside herself. "I don't know yet." "And the daughter?" "She is my age." "Your age?" "Yes." Ngozi became quiet. She understood how difficult that might be for Amaka. "Do not compare yourself to anybody." "I am not." "You will see things there that we have never had. Do not let it enter your heart." "It will not." "Your time will come too." Amaka swallowed hard. "I know." The following morning, Zara showed Amaka exactly what kind of person she was. At 7 a.m., Amaka had already swept, cleaned part of the sitting room, and helped arrange breakfast. Zara came downstairs wearing workout clothes and went straight to the dining table. She looked at the glass of juice in front of her and frowned. "Who poured this?" Amaka looked up. "I did." Zara pushed the glass slightly. "I do not want orange juice." "I'm sorry, what would you like?" "Apple." Amaka quickly went to get it. When she returned, she tasted it and frowned again. "This is not cold enough." Amaka was surprised. She had taken it directly from the refrigerator. "It was in the fridge." "Did I ask you where it was?" Sarah replied. "I said it is not cold enough." Patricia entered the dining room at that moment. "What is happening?" "She gave me warm juice." "It is not warm, Ma," Amaka said carefully. Patricia's eyes sharpened. "Are you arguing with my daughter?" "No, Ma, I only meant if she says it is not cold enough, then it is not cold enough. Bring another one and add ice." "Yes, Ma." Amaka went back to the kitchen. She stood there for a few seconds before opening the freezer. She could feel anger rising inside her, but she forced it down. She remembered the medicine. She remembered the rent. She remembered why she was there. She returned with another glass and placed it gently in front of Zara. Zara took a sip and gave a satisfied smile without thanking her. That became the pattern of Amaka's new life. Zara was not always shouting. Sometimes her cruelty came in small actions that were difficult to complain about. She would leave clothes all over her bedroom after Amaka had cleaned it. She would finish eating snacks and leave the wrappers on the table even when a waste bin was close to her. She sometimes changed outfits 3 or 4 times before going out, throwing each rejected dress onto the bed and expecting Amaka to arrange everything again. If Amaka finished cleaning Zara's room early, Zara could walk in, look around, and say, "The floor does not look clean," forcing her to mop it again. One afternoon, Amaka had just finished washing several clothes when Zara came to the laundry area carrying another basket. "Wash these too." Amaka looked at the large pile. "I already finished the laundry for today." Zara stared at her. "And? I was told to prepare the guest room. Then wash these first. Your mother asked me to finish the guest room before she comes back." Zara folded her arms. "Are you saying you will not wash my clothes?" "No, I am saying I need to finish what Madame asked me to do first." Zara smiled in a way Amaka did not like. "Fine." When Patricia returned later, Zara told her that Amaka had refused to wash her clothes. Patricia called Amaka immediately. "Why did you refuse to do Zara's laundry?" "I did not refuse, Ma. You told me to prepare the guest room and I told her I would wash them after. When Zara asks you to do something, you do it. But if you have already asked me to do something else, I need to know which one should come first." Patricia stared at her. "Do not be clever with me." Amaka lowered her eyes. "I am sorry, Ma. You people start working in a good house and suddenly think you have an opinion about everything." The words hurt more than Amaka expected. "I was only trying to explain. I do not need explanations. Go and wash the clothes." "Yes, ma." As she walked away, she heard Zara laugh quietly behind her. Amaka wanted to turn around and say something, but she kept walking. That evening, she cried in the bathroom where nobody could see her. She covered her mouth with a towel because she did not want anyone to hear. After a few minutes, she washed her face, looked at herself in the mirror, and whispered, "You are here for Mama. Remember that." She returned to work. Chief Raymond was different from his wife and daughter. He was a successful businessman in his early 50s, and because of his work, he often left the house early and returned late. Sometimes he traveled for several days. Unlike Patricia, he rarely spoke to Amaka unless he needed something, but he always greeted her. The first time he saw her properly was one morning when he came into the dining room while she was arranging the table. "Good morning, sir," Amaka said. Raymond stopped. "Good morning." He looked at her for a moment longer than normal. Amaka became uncomfortable and looked down. Raymond frowned slightly, almost as though he were trying to remember something. "You are the new girl?" "Yes, sir." "What is your name?" "Amaka." His expression changed very slightly when she smiled politely. "Amaka," he repeated. "Yes, sir." Patricia entered before he could say anything else. "Raymond, your coffee is getting cold." "I'm coming." He looked at Amaka once more before sitting down. Amaka noticed it, but she did not understand it. A few days later, the same thing happened again. She was carrying folded towels through the hallway when Raymond walked towards her. She moved aside to allow him to pass. "Good afternoon, sir." "Good afternoon." He stopped. "Where are you from?" The question surprised her. "Sir?" "Your family. Where are you from?" Amaka told him the state her mother came from. Raymond's face became thoughtful. "Your parents live in Lagos?" "My mother does." "And your father?" Amaka became stiff. "I do not know him, sir." Raymond looked surprised. "Oh, my mother raised me." "I see." He seemed about to ask another question, but changed his mind. "All right." He walked away slowly. Amaka watched him go. She wondered why he cared, but after a moment, she continued what she was doing. Zara, however, had seen the conversation from the staircase. That evening, she entered her mother's room. Patricia was sitting in front of her dressing mirror removing her earrings. "Mom, what? Why does Dad keep talking to that girl?" Patricia looked at her through the mirror. "What girl?" "Amaka. He talks to everybody." "No, he does not." Patricia turned. "What exactly are you saying?" "I saw him asking her questions today." "Questions about what?" "I don't know. Her family or something." Patricia waved her hand dismissively. "Your father likes asking people questions. Leave it." Zara frowned. "I don't like her." "You have made that very clear. She behaves like she's better than what she is." "Meaning?" "She's too confident." Patricia smiled slightly. "Then remind her where she works." That answer was enough encouragement for Zara. Over the next few weeks, Amaka's work became harder. Zara found new ways to make her uncomfortable, especially whenever visitors came to the house. One Saturday afternoon, 3 of Zara's friends came over. They sat in the large living room talking, laughing, and taking pictures. Amaka brought drinks and snacks as Patricia had instructed. As she placed the tray on the table, one of the girls smiled at her. "Your hair is nice," she said. Amaka touched the simple braids on her head. "Thank you." "Did you do it yourself?" "My friend helped me." Another girl looked at Amaka. "You are very pretty." Zara's expression immediately changed. "Can we just eat?" she said sharply. Amaka quietly left. A few minutes later, Zara called her back. "Amaka?" Amaka entered. "Yes?" "Bring more ice." Amaka brought it. "And tissue." She brought tissue. "And another glass." She brought another glass. "This table is dirty." Amaka looked at the table. It was not dirty. "Where?" Zara pointed to a tiny drop of juice. "Can you not see?" Amaka wiped it. Zara's friends exchanged uncomfortable looks. One of them said, "Zara, relax. It is just one drop." Zara laughed. "You don't live here. If you let workers relax too much, they become lazy." Amaka heard every word, but she said nothing. Later that evening, when the visitors had gone, Zara deliberately left the sitting room in a terrible state. Cushions were on the floor, empty bottles were scattered across the table, plates were left everywhere, and bits of food had fallen onto the rug. Amaka stood in the doorway looking at the mess. Zara walked past her and said, "Have fun." Amaka closed her eyes briefly. "Good night," she answered. Zara stopped and looked back, surprised that Amaka had not reacted. "You know you have to clean everything tonight, right?" "I know." "Good." Amaka worked until almost midnight. Her back hurt and she had barely sat down all day. When she finally went to her room, she saw a missed call from her mother and quickly called back. Ngozi answered after several rings. "Why are you calling this late?" "I called you." "I wanted to hear your voice." Amaka smiled tiredly. "How are you feeling?" "Better." "Did you take your medicine?" "Yes." "All of it?" "All of it." "Good. And you, are they treating you well?" Amaka looked at her tired feet. "Yes." "Do not lie to me." "I am not lying." Ngozi sighed. "You sound tired. It was a busy day. Come home if it is too much." Amaka shook her head even though her mother could not see her. "I am fine and my salary will come soon." "You keep talking about money." "Because we need it. I need my daughter too." Amaka's eyes filled with tears. "You have me. Then take care of yourself." "I will." When the call ended, Amaka lay on the bed without changing her clothes and stared at the ceiling. She wondered how different her life might have been if she had been born into a house like the one she now cleaned. She did not want Zara's exact life, but she wanted the freedom that money seemed to give people. Zara could wake up and decide she wanted new shoes. Amaka woke up and wondered whether her mother had enough medicine. Zara complained because her juice was not cold enough. Amaka had spent many mornings drinking water before leaving home because there was not enough food for both her and her mother. The difference between their lives sometimes felt unfair, but Amaka refused to allow envy to take over her heart. She reminded herself that Zara did not choose where she was born, just as Amaka had not chosen her own situation. What hurt her was not her wealth, it was her cruelty. Weeks passed, and Amaka slowly learned how the household worked. She knew what time Patricia liked breakfast, how Zara preferred her clothes arranged, which rooms Raymond used most often, and which items nobody was allowed to touch without permission. She became careful and efficient. Even Patricia could not honestly complain about the quality of her work, so most of the complaints came from small things or from Zara. Amaka received her first salary and sent most of it to her mother. Ngozi argued with her on the phone. "Keep something for yourself. I have food here. You still need money." "I kept a little." "How much?" Amaka avoided answering. "Enough." Ngozi knew she was lying, but did not continue arguing. The money allowed her to buy her medication and pay part of what they owed the landlord. For Amaka, that alone made the difficult work feel worth it. One afternoon, Patricia prepared to attend an event and asked Amaka to clean Raymond's study because he was returning from a business trip the next day. "Do not move his files around," Patricia warned. "Dust the shelves, wipe the desk, clean the floor, and make sure everything is exactly where you found it." "Yes, ma." "And be careful with the things inside that room. Some of them are expensive." "I understand." Raymond's study was one of the quietest rooms in the house. Amaka had entered it before, but she rarely spent much time there. It had a large wooden desk, bookshelves, framed certificates, business awards, and several family photographs. There were pictures of Raymond and Patricia at different events, pictures of Zara as a child, pictures from holidays, and formal family photographs where everyone looked perfectly dressed. Amaka began cleaning carefully. She wiped the shelves, dusted the picture frames, and cleaned the desk. As she worked, she noticed something she had noticed before but never thought much about. There were very few old photographs of Raymond before his marriage. Most of the pictures started from his late 20s onward. She moved to a small wooden cabinet beside the desk and wiped the top. Dust had gathered along the edge. She bent down to clean around it and noticed that one drawer was slightly open. Remembering Patricia's warning, she pushed it gently, intending to close it properly, but something inside blocked it. Amaka pulled the drawer open slightly to see what was stopping it. An old envelope had become folded near the edge. She carefully lifted the envelope, planning only to straighten it and put it back. As she did, several old photographs slipped out and fell onto the floor. "Oh no," she whispered. She immediately knelt down. "Please, please, please." She began picking them up quickly, afraid that Patricia might enter and accuse her of searching through private things. The photographs were old and slightly faded. Most showed a much younger Raymond with different people. Amaka picked up one, then another. She barely looked at them because she only wanted to return everything. Then she reached for the last photograph on the floor. Her hand stopped. She stared at it. In the photograph, Raymond looked much younger, perhaps in his 20s. He was standing outside beside a young woman. His arm was around the woman's shoulder, and both of them were smiling at the camera. Amaka's breathing slowed. She moved the photograph closer to her face. "No," she whispered. Her heart began beating harder. The young woman in the photograph had a face Amaka knew very well. The shape of the eyes, the small nose, the smile, the cheekbones, even the way the woman tilted her head looked familiar. Amaka had seen that face almost every day of her life, only older and thinner now. "Mama?" she whispered. She stared harder, wondering if tiredness was confusing her. Maybe the woman only looked similar. There were many people who looked alike. But the longer she looked, the more certain she became. The young woman beside Raymond looked exactly like Ngozi. Amaka turned the photograph over, hoping there might be something written on the back. There was a faded date from more than 20 years earlier, but no clear name. Her fingers began trembling. She turned it back again and looked at Raymond's face, then at the woman beside him. They were standing very close. This was not the kind of photograph strangers took together. They looked comfortable with each other, happy even. Amaka felt suddenly cold even though the room was warm. She remembered Raymond asking where she was from. She remembered him asking about her parents. She remembered the strange way he sometimes stared at her face, especially when she smiled. Her mind began moving too quickly. "What is this?" she whispered. She wanted to keep looking through the other photographs, but fear stopped her. Patricia had clearly told her not to go through anything. If she was caught holding those pictures, no explanation would save her. She quickly returned the photographs to the envelope, but before putting the one with Raymond and the young woman away, she looked at it one more time. Her mother's face stared at her from the past. Amaka felt a tightness in her chest. She carefully placed the picture inside the envelope, returned it to the drawer, and made sure everything looked exactly as she had found it. Then she closed the drawer. For several seconds, she remained on her knees beside the cabinet. Her hands were shaking. She finally stood and looked around the study as though the room itself had changed. The family photographs on the shelves suddenly seemed different. Raymond's face seemed different. Everything felt different. She forced herself to continue cleaning, but she could barely concentrate. She wiped the same part of the desk twice without realizing it. Every few seconds, the image of the photograph returned to her mind. A young Raymond, a young Ngozi, standing together, smiling. Why had her mother never mentioned knowing him? Why was an old picture of her mother hidden inside Raymond's private drawer? And why did Raymond look at Amaka as though her face reminded him of someone? The questions frightened her because she could already feel herself moving toward an answer she was not ready to think about. "No," she whispered to herself. "Do not start guessing." She did not know the story behind the photograph. Maybe her mother and Raymond were simply friends. Maybe they had worked together. Maybe there was a simple explanation. She needed facts before allowing her mind to create a story that might not be true. When she finished cleaning, she left the study and closed the door behind her. Zara passed through the hallway and looked at her. "Why do you look like that?" Amaka quickly controlled her face. "Like what?" "Like you saw a ghost." "I'm just tired." Zara rolled her eyes. "You people are always tired." She walked away. Amaka watched her for a moment. For the first time since entering the Williams home, she found herself studying Zara differently. Zara was her age, exactly 20. Amaka remembered Mrs. BC saying that. Her eyes followed Zara until she disappeared around the corner. Another uncomfortable thought entered Amaka's mind, but she immediately pushed it away. She refused to build conclusions from one old photograph. That evening, she almost called her mother. She picked up her phone 3 different times and stared at Ngozi's number, but each time she stopped herself. She did not want to ask such a serious question over the phone, especially when her mother was already unwell. She needed to see Ngozi's face when she asked. She needed to know whether her mother would look surprised, afraid, or guilty when she mentioned Chief Raymond Williams. That night, Amaka lay awake in her small room long after everyone else had gone quiet. The mansion that had once felt strange only because it was wealthy now felt strange for a completely different reason. She kept seeing the photograph in her mind, The young woman's smile, Raymond standing beside her, and the date written behind it. She remembered all the years she had asked questions about her father and all the times Ngozi had avoided giving her an answer. She remembered her mother saying that some people left when life became difficult. Amaka turned onto her side and pulled the blanket closer. "Mama, what are you hiding from me?" she whispered into the darkness. She knew she could not ignore what she had seen, but she also knew she needed to be careful. Until she knew the truth, she would behave normally. She would continue working. She would not confront Raymond. She would not tell Zara or Patricia anything. She would not return to the drawer. She would wait for her next day off, go home, sit beside her mother, and ask her directly why there was an old photograph of her standing beside Chief Raymond Williams. With that decision made, Amaka finally closed her eyes, although sleep did not come easily, because for the first time in her life, she wondered if the answers to the questions she had carried since childhood might be hiding inside the very house where she had come to work as a maid. Amaka waited for her next day off with this strange heaviness in her heart, and during the days before it came, she tried her best to behave normally in the Williams house, but it was difficult because every time she saw Chief Raymond, the old photograph returned to her mind, and every time she looked at Zara, another question rose inside her that she quickly pushed away because she did not want to create an answer before speaking with her mother. When her day off finally came, Amaka woke up early, finished a few things Patricia had asked her to do before leaving, and changed into a simple blue dress. She packed some food from the kitchen after getting permission and put part of her salary inside her handbag because she wanted to give it to her mother. Patricia barely looked at her when she said she was leaving, but Zara, who was sitting in the living room with her phone, raised her eyes and asked, "When are you coming back?" Amaka stopped near the door. "This evening." "Do not come back too late. I need my clothes arranged for tomorrow." Amaka wanted to remind her that it was her day off, but she only answered, "All right," and left. As soon as she stepped outside the estate, she felt as if she could breathe more freely, but the freedom did not last because her mind quickly returned to the question waiting for her at home. The journey back to her neighborhood felt longer than usual. She sat inside a bus close to the window and watched the large houses slowly disappear as they moved into busier streets filled with shops, motorcycles, buses, and people moving in every direction. She kept seeing the young face from the photograph. There was no doubt in her mind anymore that the woman had been Ngozi. The question was not whether her mother knew Raymond. The question was how she knew him and why she had never spoken about him. When Amaka finally reached their street, she walked quickly toward the compound. A few neighbors greeted her and she smiled at them, but she did not stop to talk. She opened the door to their room and found Ngozi sitting on the bed peeling vegetables into a small bowl. Her mother looked thinner than the last time Amaka had seen her, but there was a little more strength in her face. "Mama," Amaka said. Ngozi immediately looked up and smiled. "My daughter." She dropped the vegetables and opened her arms. Amaka went to her and hugged her tightly. For a moment, all the questions disappeared and she simply enjoyed being close to her mother again. "You did not tell me you were already on your way," Ngozi complained. "I wanted to surprise you." "What kind of surprise? What if I had gone out?" "Where would you go?" Amaka asked, looking around. Ngozi laughed. "So because I have been sick, you think I cannot leave this room? The doctor said you should rest." "I am resting. I only went outside yesterday to buy something." Amaka frowned. "You should have called someone." "Amaka, I am sick, not helpless." Amaka smiled and sat beside her. "How are you feeling?" "Better than last week." "Are you taking the medicine?" "Yes." "Every one of them?" "Look at this girl. You have come home and started questioning me like a police officer." "Because you like pretending you are fine." Ngozi smiled, but Amaka could see that she was still tired. She brought out the money from her handbag and placed it in her mother's hand. "This is for you." Ngozi immediately tried to return it. "No, keep your money." "Mama, you already sent money, and I am giving you more. What about yourself?" "I do not need much while I am staying there." Ngozi stared at the notes and then looked at her daughter. "I hope those people are not working you too hard." Amaka gave a small smile. "I am managing." Ngozi's face became serious. "Managing is not the same as being fine." Amaka looked away. "I told you I can handle it." "And the daughter, the one your age?" Amaka sighed. She has not changed. "What has she done now?" Nothing I cannot handle. Amaka. Mama, leave it. I did not come here to talk about Zara. The moment those words left her mouth, the mood inside the room changed because Amaka knew why she truly came. Ngozi noticed a change in her face. "What is it?" she asked. Amaka did not answer immediately. She looked down at her hands. Her heart was beating faster now that the moment had arrived. "Mama, I need to ask you something." Ngozi picked up another vegetable. "Ask. And I need you to tell me the truth." Ngozi stopped peeling. "What kind of introduction is that?" Amaka raised her eyes slowly. "Do you know a man called Raymond Williams?" Ngozi's hand froze. The knife stayed against the vegetable, but she did not move. Amaka watched every change on her face. At first, there was surprise, then something very close to fear. Ngozi slowly put the knife down. "Why are you asking me that?" she asked. Her voice was different now. Amaka's stomach tightened. "So you know him?" "I asked you why you are asking me." "Mama, please answer me." Ngozi looked away. "Where did you hear that name?" "That's the name of the man whose house I work in." Ngozi turned sharply toward her. "What?" "Chief Raymond Williams. That is my employer." The color seemed to leave Ngozi's face. "You never told me his full name." "I told you the family name was Williams." "There are many Williams." Ngozi stood suddenly and walked toward the window. Amaka watched her. "Mama, what is going on?" "Nothing." "Do not tell me nothing." "Amaka, leave it." "Leave what?" Her voice rose slightly. "I found a picture." Ngozi turned around. "What picture?" "An old photograph inside his study." Ngozi stared at her without speaking. "He was younger," Amaka continued. "Maybe in his 20s. He was standing beside a young woman. He had his arm around her." Ngozi's breathing became heavier. Amaka stood. "The woman was you." Silence filled the room. Outside, someone was calling a child's name, and the sound of a radio came from another room in the compound. But inside their own room, everything seemed very still. Ngozi slowly sat down on the bed again. Amaka moved closer. "Mama, was it you?" Ngozi closed her eyes. "You should not have been looking through your employer's things." Amaka could not believe that was her response. "I was cleaning. The photographs fell out. I did not search for anything." Ngozi shook her head. "You should forget what you saw." "How can I forget it?" "It was a long time ago." "So you know him?" Ngozi remained silent. Amaka felt frustration building inside her. "Mama, I have asked you about my father since I was a child. You never told me anything. Now I find a picture of you standing beside the man whose house I work in, and you are telling me to forget it. It has nothing to do with your work." "How do you know?" "Because I know." "Then explain it to me." Ngozi looked at her daughter, and pain filled her face. "There are things in life that are better left where they happened. Not when those things involve me. You do not know that they involve you." Amaka's eyes narrowed. "Then tell me they do not." Ngozi looked away again. That silence frightened Amaka more than any answer could have done. She sat beside her mother. "Mama, please. Did you and Chief Raymond have a relationship?" Ngozi's eyes became wet, but she quickly blinked the tears away. "We knew each other." "How?" "A long time ago." "Were you friends?" Ngozi pressed her lips together. "Something like that." "That is not an answer." "Amaka, I do not want to talk about this." "Why?" "Because I said so." Amaka stood again, hurt showing clearly on her face. "You have always done this. Every time I ask about my father, you become angry or quiet. I stopped asking because I did not want to hurt you. But now something from your past has followed me into the house where I work. I deserve to know what it means." Ngozi wiped the corner of her eye. "Not everything a parent hides is because they want to hurt their child." "Then why did you hide this?" "Because I wanted you to have peace." "I do not have peace now." Ngozi looked at her. "Then leave that job." Amaka stared at her in disbelief. "What?" "Leave the house." "Why?" find another job. Mama, I am paying for your treatment with that job. I will manage. How? I managed before. You are also getting sicker before. Ngozi's face tightened. Amaka lowered her voice. If Chief Raymond is just somebody you knew, why are you asking me to leave? Ngozi had no answer. She picked up the vegetables again, but her hands were shaking. Amaka sat down beside her and gently took them away. Mama, look at me. Ngozi slowly looked at her. Is Chief Raymond my father? The question came out quietly, but it seemed to fill the whole room. Ngozi's eyes widened. Do not start saying things you do not understand. Then tell me I am wrong. Ngozi, tell me he is not my father. Ngozi stood again. Enough. Mama, enough. Ngozi's voice cracked and she immediately began coughing. Amaka's anger disappeared as she rushed to her side. Sit down. Ngozi tried to push her hand away. I am fine. Please sit. Amaka helped her onto the bed and gave her water. Ngozi drank slowly until the coughing stopped. Amaka knelt in front of her. Tears were now in her own eyes. I am sorry. I do not want to make you sick. Ngozi looked at her for a long time. Then stop digging into that past. But why? Because some people can destroy your peace without even touching you. Did he hurt you? Ngozi's eyes filled again. I said I do not want to talk about it. Did he abandon you? Ngozi looked away. Amaka gently held her hand. Mama, I am not asking because I want money from him. I am not asking because I want to enter their family. I only want to understand my own life. Ngozi's fingers tightened around hers. And sometimes understanding brings pain. I would rather know the truth than keep guessing. Ngozi shook her head slowly. Not now. When? I do not know. Mama, please, Amaka. The tiredness in her voice made Amaka stop. Ngozi continued. For now, do your work if you must. Do not search his things again. Do not ask him questions. Do not tell anyone about that photograph. And please, do not make conclusions from something you do not understand. Ngozi stared at her. You are asking me to pretend I saw nothing. I am asking you to protect yourself. From what? Ngozi did not answer. Amaka realized she would get nothing more from her that day. She felt angry, confused, and disappointed. But she also saw how weak her mother looked. So she decided not to continue pushing. She spent the rest of the afternoon helping Ngozi around the room, cooking a simple meal and washing some clothes. They talked about other things, but the old photograph sat between them like another person in the room. When it was time for Amaka to return to the mansion, Ngozi held her hand near the door. Be careful there. Amaka studied her face. Why do you keep saying that? Ngozi forced a smile. Because I am your mother. Is that the only reason? Ngozi hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Amaka knew it was not the full truth, but she kissed her mother's cheek and left. On the journey back to the Williams house, her thoughts became even more confusing. Before speaking to Ngozi, she had hoped her mother would laugh and explain that Raymond had simply been an old friend. Instead, Ngozi's fear had made everything worse. Amaka returned to work, determined not to say anything to anyone, just as her mother had asked. For several days, she avoided Raymond as much as she could. If he entered a room, she found something to do somewhere else. If he greeted her, she answered politely and moved on. Raymond noticed the change, but he did not understand it. One morning, he found her arranging flowers in the sitting room. Amaka. She turned. Good morning, sir. Good morning. How is your mother? The question shocked her. She tried to keep her face calm. She's getting better, sir. That is good. He paused. You said you still live in Lagos. Yes, sir. Has she always lived here? Amaka stared at him for a second. For a long time. Raymond nodded thoughtfully. And you said you finished secondary school? Yes, sir. Do you plan to continue your education? I hope to. What do you want to study? Amaka hesitated. Nobody in the household had ever asked her that. Business administration, sir. Or maybe accounting. I like working with numbers. Raymond smiled slightly. That is good. Thank you. Do not give up on school because you are working now. Something about his tone touched her, but it also made her uncomfortable because she remembered her mother's reaction. "I will not, sir." Raymond nodded and walked away. Neither of them knew that Zara had entered the hallway in time to hear the last part of the conversation. She stood watching Amaka with a deep frown. Later that afternoon, Zara followed Patricia into her bedroom. "Mom, Dad is doing it again." Patricia looked up from the handbag she was arranging. "Doing what?" "Talking to Amaka." Patricia sighed. "Zara, must we discuss that girl every day? He asked her about school this morning. And he told her not to give up." Patricia shrugged. "Your father gives advice to everybody." "No, he does not." Zara sat on the bed. "He barely notices the other workers. Why is he always asking her about her life?" Patricia became quiet. Zara continued, "And she likes it. She stands there smiling at him." Patricia's expression changed slightly. "Do not say foolish things." "I am not saying anything foolish. Your father is old enough to be her father." Zara rolled her eyes. "That is not what I mean. I mean she's trying to make herself important." Patricia studied her daughter. "How?" "She behaves differently around him. Very innocent, very quiet, like she is some suffering little angel." Patricia turned back to her bag, but something Zara had said stayed in her mind. Later that afternoon, while she and Raymond were alone in their bedroom, Patricia asked casually, "You seem interested in the new girl." Raymond looked away from the television. "What?" "Amaka." "Interested in what way? You keep asking her questions." Raymond frowned. "I asked about her mother because I heard she was sick." "You also asked about her education." "She's 20 years old and working as a maid. There is nothing wrong with encouraging her to continue school." Patricia gave him a long look. "You do not usually concern yourself with domestic staff." "Maybe I should." "Why her?" Raymond leaned back. I don't know." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" Raymond thought for a moment. "There's something familiar about her." Patricia's body stiffened. "Familiar?" "Her face. Sometimes when she looks at me, I feel like I have seen those eyes somewhere." Patricia laughed, but there was no real humor in it. "That sounds strange." "I know. Who does she remind you of?" Raymond was quiet. "Someone from a long time ago." Patricia's fingers tightened around the edge of the bed. "Who?" Raymond looked at her. "It doesn't matter." "If it doesn't matter, why did you mention it?" "Because you asked." He turned back to the television. Patricia did not speak again, but she no longer heard what was playing. She knew there had been another woman before her. Raymond's parents had never hidden that fact completely. In the early days of their marriage, Patricia had once heard Raymond's mother complain that her son almost ruined his future because of that poor girl. Patricia had asked Raymond about it once. He had told her it was an old relationship that ended before their marriage and that there was no reason to discuss it. Patricia had accepted that answer because she was young, newly married, and determined to build her own place in his life. More than 20 years had passed. She believed that woman belonged completely to the past. Now a young maid had entered her house, and her husband was saying the girl reminded him of someone. Patricia did not like the feeling that entered her heart. From the following day, her attitude toward Amaka became even colder. If Amaka made the smallest mistake, Patricia spoke harshly. If she finished one task, another was waiting immediately. One morning, Patricia called her into the bedroom and pointed at a shelf. "Did you dust this yesterday?" "Yes, ma." Patricia ran one finger over the surface. There was almost no dust, but she looked at Amaka as if she had discovered a serious offense. "Then what is this?" "I'm sorry, I can clean it again." "You are becoming careless." "I would do better." "You were not brought here to walk around the house trying to get people's attention." Amaka looked confused. "Ma, you heard me." "I do not understand." Patricia stepped closer. "You do not need to understand everything. Just remember why you are here." Amaka swallowed. "I know why I am here." "Good. Keep it that way." Amaka cleaned the shelf again and left, wondering what she had done to make Patricia suddenly more hostile. Things became worse because Zara enjoyed seeing her mother treat Amaka that way. She began making more complaints, some real and some completely invented. One evening, Zara entered her room and found Amaka arranging dresses inside the wardrobe. "Why is that red dress there?" she asked. Amaka turned. "You told me to put your evening dresses on this side." "Did I say that one?" "You said all of them." "That one is not supposed to be there." Amaka removed it. "Where should I put it?" Zara pointed to another section. Amaka moved it there. Zara then looked at a pair of shoes, and those shoes are facing the wrong direction. Amaka looked at her. "The wrong direction?" "Yes. They are shoes. Are you arguing again?" No, I am just asking how you want them. Zara smiled. You have been here for weeks and still do not know how I like things. Amaka took a slow breath. Show me and I will arrange them. Zara walked closer. You think because my father asks you questions, you are special now. Amaka froze. What? Do not act confused. I do not know what you are talking about. I see how you stand around him. Amaka's eyes widened. Stand around him? Yes, smiling, answering questions, pretending to be shy. Anger rose immediately in Amaka. Your father speaks to me, I answer him respectfully, that is all. Then make sure it stays that way. What exactly are you accusing me of? Zara stepped closer. I am telling you to remember that you are a maid in this house. Amaka stared at her. I have never forgotten. Good. But you also need to remember that being a maid does not make me less human than you. Zara's face changed. What did you say? I said I work for your family. I am not an animal. Get out of my room. I was already leaving. Amaka walked away before the argument became worse. Zara stood there furious. That night, she told Patricia that Amaka had spoken disrespectfully to her. Patricia called Amaka and warned her that she would be sent away if it happened again. Amaka tried to explain, but Patricia refused to listen. From then on, Amaka began counting the days until she could collect another salary and possibly find a different job. She was tired of being insulted, but she could not simply leave because her mother still needed treatment. Zara, however, had already decided that waiting for Amaka to leave on her own was not enough. She wanted her gone immediately. A few days later, Zara attended a birthday party with friends. Before leaving, she wore an expensive bracelet Patricia had given her the year before. It was one of her favorite pieces of jewelry and was worth more money than Amaka had ever held in her hands at one time. Zara returned home late that evening. Amaka had already cleaned most of the house and was preparing to go to her room when Zara entered. Take my bag upstairs, she ordered. Amaka carried the bag behind her. In Zara's bedroom, Zara removed her shoes and dropped them on the floor. Bring water. Amaka went downstairs. While she was gone, Zara removed the bracelet from her wrist and looked toward the door. Her heart was beating fast, but anger pushed away any guilt she might have felt. She walked quickly toward the small service area where Amaka kept some of her clothes. Earlier that week, she had noticed that Amaka sometimes left her room unlocked while she was working because there was almost nothing valuable. Zara entered, opened Amaka's small handbag, and pushed the bracelet deep into an inside pocket beneath a folded handkerchief. Then she returned upstairs before Amaka came back. Amaka handed her the water. Anything else? No. Zara drank and looked at her with a strange calmness. You can go. Amaka went to bed without knowing what had happened. The next morning, the house was suddenly filled with shouting. Zara came downstairs wearing a worried expression. Mom, Mom! Patricia came out of the dining room. What happened? My bracelet is missing. Which bracelet? The diamond one you bought me. Patricia frowned. Where did you keep it? I wore it last night. Did you take it off in your room? Yes, I think so. Think? I was tired. I put my things down. This morning it was gone. Patricia immediately called everyone who walked in the house. Amaka came from the kitchen, confused. What is going on? Patricia looked around. Zara's bracelet is missing. Nobody leaves this house until it is found. Amaka's stomach tightened, not because she had done anything wrong, but because she already knew how Patricia thought about people who worked for her. Zara looked at Amaka and said, she was in my room last night. Amaka turned toward her. You asked me to bring your bag and water. Exactly, you were there. So? Zara folded her arms. So you could have seen it. Amaka stared at her. Are you accusing me? Patricia raised a hand. Nobody is accusing anybody yet, but her eyes were already fixed on Amaka. We will search everywhere. The other workers began checking the sitting room, hallway, and Zara's bedroom. Patricia personally searched several places. Zara pretended to help. After almost 30 minutes, she said, maybe we should check the workers' rooms. Amaka's heart sank. Why? She asked. Patricia turned to her. If nobody took it, you have nothing to worry about. I did not take anything. Then there is no problem. They moved toward the service area. Amaka followed with shaking hands. She felt humiliated already. Patricia searched one room, then another. When she entered Amaka's room, she opened the wardrobe and checked beneath the bed. Then she picked up Amaka's handbag. "Madam, please," Amaka said. "That is my personal bag." Patricia looked at her. "Are you hiding something?" "No, but..." "Then stand there." She opened the bag and searched inside. A few seconds later, her hand stopped. She slowly pulled out the bracelet. Amaka felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Zara covered her mouth dramatically. "Oh my God!" Patricia stared at the bracelet, then at Amaka. "What is this?" Amaka shook her head immediately. "I do not know." "You do not know?" "I have never seen it inside my bag." Zara shouted. "You thief!" "I did not take it," Amaka cried. "Then how did it enter your bag?" Patricia demanded. "I do not know." "Did the bracelet grow legs?" "Madam, I swear I did not take it." Zara stepped forward. "I knew it. I told you there was something wrong with her." "That is a lie," Amaka shouted. "Do not raise your voice in my house," Patricia snapped. Tears filled Amaka's eyes. "Someone put it there." Zara laughed. "Who would put my bracelet in your bag?" Amaka looked directly at her. The calm satisfaction in her eyes told her everything, but she had no proof. "You did this." Zara's face changed. "What? You put it there? Mom, did you hear her?" "Amaka," Patricia shouted. "That is enough." "She hates me. She has been trying to get me out of this house." Zara moved as if she wanted to slap her, but Patricia held her back. "How dare you accuse my daughter after stealing from her?" "I did not steal anything," Amaka cried. "Pack your things." "Madam, please." "I said pack your things and leave my house." Amaka stood frozen. "You will not even listen to me?" "The bracelet was found in your bag. What else is there to listen to?" "I have worked here for weeks. Have I ever stolen even food?" "Maybe you were waiting for something expensive." That sentence broke something inside Amaka. She looked at Patricia through tears. "You already believed I was a thief before you even opened that bag." "Do not twist my words. You have never liked me. I gave you employment and reminded me every day that I was beneath you." Patricia's face became hard. "Get out before I call security." Amaka turned toward her room. Her hands were trembling so badly that she could barely fold her clothes. She had just put a few things inside her small bag when a man's voice came from the doorway. "What is happening here?" Everyone turned. Chief Raymond had returned earlier than expected from a meeting. He looked from Patricia to Zara and then to Amaka, whose face was wet with tears. "Why is she packing?" Patricia held up the bracelet. "Because she stole from Zara." Raymond frowned. "What?" Zara immediately spoke. "My bracelet went missing, Dad. We found it in her bag." Raymond looked at Amaka. "Did you take it?" "No, sir." "It was in her bag." "That does not answer my question." Patricia stared at him. "Raymond, what are you saying?" "I am asking her directly." Amaka shook her head. "I did not take it, sir. I do not know how it got there." Zara scoffed. "Of course she will say that." Raymond held out his hand. "Let me see it." Patricia gave him the bracelet. "Where was it last seen?" Zara answered, "In my room." "When?" "Last night." "Who entered your room?" "She did." "Anyone else?" Zara hesitated. "I was there." Raymond looked at her. "And you are certain you left the bracelet somewhere visible?" "I think I did." "You think?" Zara became irritated. "Dad, what does it matter? We found it in her bag." "It matters because before we destroy somebody's name, we should know exactly what happened." Patricia folded her arms. "Her name? Raymond, the jewelry was physically inside her bag. And she says she did not put it there. So, you believe her?" Zara asked. Raymond looked at her daughter. "I said we should understand what happened." Zara's eyes immediately filled with angry tears. "You are defending her." "I am not defending anybody. You always defend her." "Zara, lower your voice." "Why should I? She stole from me and you are standing there questioning me like I am the criminal." Amaka stood quietly, shocked by how quickly everything had become bigger. Patricia stepped closer to Raymond. "This is exactly the problem. Ever since this girl entered this house, you have been unusually interested in her." Raymond turned toward his wife. "Do not start this again." "Why not? Even your daughter can see it." "See what?" "The way you ask about her family, her education, her mother. Now something is stolen and you are refusing to believe the obvious." "Because I have never seen her behave like a thief." "You barely know her, and neither do you. I know she is a servant who had my daughter's bracelet in her bag." The word servant struck Amaka like a slap. Zara pointed at her. She has been trying to act important since she came here. Now look at what she has done. Amaka's tears began falling again. I have done nothing to you. Stop acting innocent. I have washed your clothes, cleaned your room, carried your things, and listened to you insult me almost every day. I never stole from you. Then explain the bracelet. I cannot explain something I did not do. Enough, Raymond shouted. Everyone became quiet. He looked at Amaka. Do not leave yet. Patricia laughed in disbelief. You cannot be serious. I said she should not leave until we know exactly what happened. This is my house too. And I am not saying she should continue working here. I am saying nobody should throw her out like a criminal before we understand what happened. Zara started crying harder. So now her feelings matter more than mine? Raymond rubbed his forehead. That is not what I said. You do not even know her. I know enough to know that this situation does not make sense. Patricia stared at him. Why does it not make sense to you? Because she reminds you of someone? The room went still. Amaka looked at Raymond. Raymond looked sharply at Patricia. This is not the time. Patricia laughed bitterly. Of course not. Amaka's chest tightened. The photograph. Her mother. These strange questions, everything came crashing into her mind at once. She had promised Ngozi she would say nothing, but humiliation, anger, and confusion were now stronger than her promise. Sir, Amaka said quietly. Raymond turned to her. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. There is something I need to say. Patricia snapped. You have said enough. No, Raymond said. Let her speak. Amaka took a breath. A few days ago, when I was cleaning your study, some old photographs fell from a drawer. Raymond's expression changed. Patricia stared at her. You are going through his drawer? No, ma. The drawer was not properly closed. An envelope was cut inside. I opened it to straighten it, and the pictures fell out. What does that have to do with this? Zara asked. Amaka ignored her and looked at Raymond. There was one picture of you when you were younger. Raymond's face slowly became serious. What picture? You were standing beside a young woman. Patricia's eyes moved toward her husband. Raymond said nothing. Amaka continued, her voice shaking. Sir, the woman in the picture looked exactly like my mother. Raymond seemed to stop breathing. Patricia's face changed immediately. Zara frowned. What nonsense is this? Amaka looked at her. I am not talking to you. Do not speak to my daughter like that, Patricia said, but her voice had lost some of its strength. Raymond stepped closer to Amaka. What did you say? The woman in the picture looked like my mother. What is your mother's name? Raymond asked quickly. Amaka hesitated. Her mother's warning echoed inside her, but she knew the secret had already gone too far to hide now. Ngozi Okafor. Raymond's entire expression changed. His face became pale. He took one slow step backward. Ngozi? Raymond whispered. Amaka's heart pounded. Yes, sir. Patricia turned sharply toward Raymond. You know that name? Raymond did not answer her. His eyes remained on Amaka. He seemed to be seeing her face for the first time. Your mother is Ngozi Okafor? Yes. How old are you? 20. Raymond swallowed. When is your birthday? Zara stared at him. Dad, what is going on? Amaka gave him the month and date. Raymond's hand slowly moved toward the back of a chair, as though he needed something to hold. Patricia's fear became visible now. Raymond! He still did not look at her. Amaka felt frightened. Sir, what is happening? Raymond opened his mouth, but before he could answer, Amaka's phone began ringing inside the bag she had been packing. Everyone looked toward it. Amaka quickly picked it up. It was her mother. She answered with shaking hands. Mama? Ngozi immediately heard something wrong in her voice. Amaka, what happened? Amaka tried to control herself, but she began crying again. They said I stole something. What? Zara's bracelet. They found it in my bag, but I did not take it. Ngozi became alarmed. Where are you now? In the house. Are they holding you? No. I am coming. Mama, you do not have to. I said I am coming. The call ended. Amaka lowered the phone. Raymond was still staring at her. Patricia looked at him and asked again, Who is Ngozi? This time, Raymond answered, Someone I knew before we were married. Patricia's lips parted. Zara looked between her parents. So what? Dad knew lots of people before you got married. Patricia ignored her daughter. Is she the woman? Raymond's eyes moved to his wife. What woman? The one your mother used to talk about. The poor girl your family did not want you to marry. Raymond's jaw tightened. Patricia, not now. It is her, isn't it? I said not now. Amaka felt as if she was standing in the middle of a story everyone understood except her. Sir, she said, did you know my mother? Raymond looked at her. Yes. How? He hesitated. We were close. How close? Amaka, please. Her voice broke. My mother would not tell me anything. Raymond lowered his eyes. Your mother and I were in a relationship many years ago. Zara stopped crying. Patricia looked away as though she had just been hit. Amaka felt weak. A relationship? Yes. Before you married Madame? Yes. Amaka's mind immediately returned to the question she had asked Ngozi. Did you leave her? Raymond looked ashamed. It was complicated. Complicated, of course. Raymond turned to her. Please. No, I would also like to hear this. Before the argument could continue, the security guard called from outside to say that a woman was asking for Amaka. Amaka knew immediately who it was. My mother. Raymond's eyes widened slightly. Patricia went very still. A few minutes later, Ngozi entered the sitting room. She was breathing heavily from the journey and looked worried. The moment she saw Amaka, she rushed toward her. What happened? Amaka hugged her. Mama. Ngozi held her face. Did anybody touch you? No. Where is the thing they said you stole? Amaka pointed toward the bracelet. Ngozi turned, ready to defend her daughter, and then her eyes landed on Raymond. Everything inside her seemed to stop. Raymond stood completely still. More than 20 years had passed, and both of them had changed. Ngozi was older, thinner, and tired from illness. Raymond's hair had begun to gray, and the young man she remembered now carried the weight of age and responsibility in his face. But they recognized each other immediately. Ngozi, Raymond whispered. Ngozi's lips trembled. Raymond. Patricia's face tightened. Zara looked completely confused. Amaka stared between them. Mama, you said you only knew him. Ngozi closed her eyes. Amaka, please. Raymond slowly moved forward. I thought I would never see you again. Ngozi's expression hardened. You did not seem to have a problem with that. That is not fair. Not fair? She laughed once, but tears were already forming. You disappeared. My parents sent me away. And you stayed away. I tried to contact you. No, you did not. I did. Ngozi shook her head. I went to your family house. They would not allow me inside. I sent messages. Nobody replied. I called the number I had until it stopped going through. Then one day, I heard you were getting married. Raymond looked shocked. You came to the house? More than once. I never knew. Of course you never knew. Patricia folded her arms. So, this is the famous Ngozi. Ngozi turned toward her. I did not come here to discuss your marriage. I came because my daughter called me crying. Zara spoke sharply. Your daughter stole from me. Ngozi looked at her. My daughter is not a thief. The bracelet was inside her bag. Then someone put it there. That is what she said too. Because it is the truth. Patricia stepped forward. You have entered my house and you are already accusing my daughter. Ngozi looked at her calmly. And you accused mine before I entered. Because there is evidence. Raymond raised his hand. Everyone should stop. Ngozi turned back to him. Why is my daughter working in your house? Raymond looked at Amaka and then at Ngozi. I did not know she was your daughter. She did not know either, Ngozi said. Amaka's eyes filled again. Mama, enough. Tell me the truth now. Ngozi looked at her. Amaka. No, you cannot hide it anymore. Were you with him before I was born? Ngozi's shoulders dropped. Yes. Amaka felt her knees weaken. She sat down slowly. How long before I was born? Ngozi covered her mouth for a moment, then lowered her hand. I found out I was pregnant shortly after he left Lagos. Raymond stared at her. His face went completely blank. Pregnant? Ngozi looked at him. Yes. You are pregnant? Yes. Raymond glanced at Amaka. Why did you never tell me? Ngozi's anger returned immediately. How was I supposed to tell you? Your family would not let me near you. Your mother told me clearly that I should stay away from your son. She said I was trying to trap you because your family had money. When I told her I needed to speak to you urgently, she refused. I sent a letter through someone. I never got a reply. Raymond shook his head slowly. I never saw any letter. That is not my problem anymore. Ngozi, if I had known, you did not know because you allowed other people to control your life. Raymond looked down. Patricia's face had become pale. Zara stared at Amaka as though she had never seen her before. Amaka looked at her mother. So, when you found out you were pregnant, you knew it could be his? Ngozi closed her eyes. Yes. Could be? Raymond asked. Ngozi looked directly at him. There was nobody else. Silence filled the room. Raymond sat down heavily. Amaka could hear her own heartbeat. She looked at his face, studying the shape of his eyes, his nose, his hands, as though searching for herself inside him. Raymond did the same thing. He looked at Amaka's face and suddenly saw details he had never allowed himself to notice before. The eyes were Ngozi, but the shape of her forehead looked familiar. Her serious expression reminded him strangely of his own mother when she was young. He whispered, 20 years. Patricia immediately said no. Everyone turned toward her. No, we are not going to sit here and accept this because of one old relationship. Ngozi looked tired. I did not ask you to accept anything. Patricia pointed toward Amaka. You are saying she is Raymond's daughter. Ngozi answered, I am saying Raymond is the man I was with when I became pregnant. Zara suddenly stood. This is ridiculous. Tears filled her eyes again, but now they came from fear. They are lying. Zara, Raymond said quietly. No, Dad. Think about it. She came here to walk in our house. Now suddenly, her mother was your girlfriend and she is your daughter. How convenient. Amaka looked at her in disbelief. I did not know anything about this when I came here. Of course you will say that. I found out by accident. Maybe you knew before. Ngozi stepped forward. Do not call my daughter a liar. Zara looked at her. And who are you to tell me what to do in my house? Zara! Raymond shouted. She turned toward him with tears streaming down her face. Why are you shouting at me? You are already taking their side. There are no sides. There are. This girl came here as a maid and now everybody is acting like she belongs here. Amaka stood. I never said I belong here. You want money. I have never asked your father for 1 naira. Maybe this was your plan from the beginning. Enough, Ngozi shouted. Zara went silent. Ngozi's body was shaking now. My daughter did not know this man was connected to me. I did not even know whose house she was walking in until she came home and mentioned his full name. If I wanted money from Raymond, I had 20 years to look for him. I never did. Raymond looked at her. Why didn't you? Ngozi gave him a sad smile. Because after I heard you were married, I understood the message. Your family had won. I was young, pregnant and alone. I had no money to fight people like yours. I had no lawyer. I had nobody important behind me. I decided I would raise my child myself. You should have found me. And said what? That the poor girl your family chased away had returned with a baby? I was tired, Raymond. Her voice broke. I was humiliated enough. Amaka began crying silently as she listened. For the first time, she could see some of the pain her mother had hidden from her for years. You raised me alone because of this? She asked. Ngozi turned to her. I raised you because you were mine. But you knew who my father was. I believed I did. Why didn't you tell me his name? Because I did not want you growing up waiting for a man who had never come for you. Raymond closed his eyes. That sentence clearly hurt him. I did not know, he said. Ngozi answered, I know that now, but it does not change the years. Patricia stepped away from everyone and sat down. She looked shaken, but there was anger under the fear. This still proves nothing. Raymond looked at her. Patricia, it doesn't. She says you are the father. Fine, then let us know for certain. Zara immediately nodded. Exactly. DNA. Amaka looked at Raymond. Raymond stared back at her for a moment before saying, yes. Ngozi stiffened. I did not come here asking for a test. I know, Raymond said, but we need the truth. All of us. Amaka wiped her tears. I want the test too. Ngozi turned toward her. Amaka? Mama, please. I cannot go back to not knowing. Ngozi looked at her daughter and saw the need in her eyes. Slowly, she nodded. Fine. Raymond arranged for the test to be done as quickly as possible through a recognized medical laboratory. That same day, arrangements were made for samples from Raymond and Amaka. The bracelet issue was forgotten for the moment, although Amaka did not forget the humiliation. Patricia did not apologize for accusing her, and Zara still insisted she stole it. Raymond told Amaka she did not have to continue working until everything was settled. Amaka packed her bags and left with her mother, not because Patricia had thrown her out, but because she no longer felt comfortable sleeping in that house while waiting to learn whether the owner was her father. Before she left, Raymond stood near the front door and said quietly, Amaka? She turned. He looked as though he wanted to say many things but did not know where to begin. I am sorry about what happened today. Amaka looked at him. Which part? Raymond had no answer. Amaka continued. The stealing accusation? My mother? Or the possibility that you may have been my father all my life without knowing? Raymond lowered his eyes. All of it. Amaka held her bag tighter. I do not know what to call you right now. You do not have to call me anything. Good. She walked away with Ngozi. The next several days were some of the longest days Amaka had ever experienced. At home, she and Ngozi spoke more openly than before, though Ngozi still struggled with some memories. One evening, Amaka sat beside her on the bed and asked, Did you love him? Ngozi was quiet for a long time. Yes. A lot? At that time, yes. Did he love you? Ngozi sighed. I believed he did. What happened? Ngozi looked toward the window. His family did not want me. They thought I was not from the right kind of home. His father had already started building connections for his business, and his mother wanted him to marry someone from a wealthy family. I was just a young woman with nothing important behind my name. Did he fight for you? At first. And later? Ngozi smiled sadly. Later, he got tired of fighting. Amaka looked down. And Patricia? I only heard that he married her. Did you know she was the woman his parents wanted? I suspected. Amaka thought about Patricia's constant pride and the way she spoke about poor people. Everything seemed connected now. At the Williams mansion, there was no peace either. Zara stayed mostly in her room and became angry anytime Raymond mentioned the test. One evening, she confronted him in his study. If it says she's your daughter, what happens to me? Raymond looked surprised. What do you mean? You know what I mean. No, I do not. Will you start treating her like your real daughter? Raymond frowned. If she is my daughter, she will be my real daughter. Zara's eyes filled with tears. So, you will just replace me? Raymond immediately stood. Zara, nobody is replacing you. You do not know that. I do. You have been interested in her since she came here. Maybe you somehow knew. I did not know. Mom says you used to love her mother. Raymond looked toward the door. Your mother should not be dragging you into things that happened before you were born. But they affect me now. Only if we allow fear to destroy us. Zara laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say. I am the one who might suddenly have to share everything with a maid. Raymond's expression hardened. Do not call her that like it makes her less than you. Zara stared at him. See, you are already defending her. She walked out before he could stop her. Patricia was no better. That night, she told Raymond, you have to think carefully about what this could do to this family. Raymond looked tired. What exactly do you want me to do if the test says she is my child? Patricia's mouth tightened. Help her if you want. Pay for school, give her money. But that does not mean she has to enter our lives. She would already be part of my life. Raymond, she would be my daughter. And what about Zara? Zara remains my daughter. You think it is that simple? No, I think it is difficult, but difficulty does not change truth. Patricia shook her head. You are behaving as though Ngozi is innocent in all this. What did she do? She kept your child away for 20 years. And she says she tried to contact me? And you believe her? Raymond looked at his wife. I know my parents. Patricia had no answer to that. Raymond continued. My mother was capable of blocking her. My father was capable of sending me away. I was young and weak enough to allow them to decide things for me. I have to accept that. Patricia's eyes became cold. So now you are blaming your family and soon you will blame me. I am not blaming you. Not yet. She left the room. 3 days later, the laboratory informed Raymond that the result was ready. He asked that Amaka and Ngozi come to the house because he did not want anyone hearing the answer through a phone call. When Amaka received the message, her hands became cold. Ngozi sat beside her quietly as they traveled back to the mansion. Neither of them spoke much. When they arrived, Patricia and Zara were already in the living room. Raymond stood near the window holding a sealed envelope. Amaka immediately looked at it. Her whole life seemed to be inside that small white envelope. Raymond greeted Ngozi quietly, then looked at Amaka. Are you ready? Amaka swallowed. I do not think anyone can be ready. Raymond nodded. Patricia sat stiffly on one side of the room. Zara refused to look at Amaka. Raymond opened the envelope slowly. His hands were shaking. He pulled out the paper and unfolded it. For several seconds, he read without speaking. Amaka could hear the clock on the wall. She watched Raymond's face change. His eyes stopped moving across the page. His mouth opened slightly. What does it say? Patricia asked. Raymond did not answer. Zara stood. Dad? Raymond lowered the paper and looked directly at Amaka. His eyes were already filling with tears. Amaka's heart began pounding so hard that she felt it in her chest. Sir, she whispered. Raymond looked at the result again as though he needed to be certain that he had read it correctly. Then he spoke in a voice that was barely steady. The test confirms it. Nobody moved. Amaka stared at him. Raymond swallowed hard. Amaka is my biological daughter. The words seemed to stop time inside the room. Ngozi closed her eyes as tears rolled down her cheeks. Patricia's face paled. Zara slowly turned toward Amaka, her expression filled with disbelief, fear, and shock. Amaka stood completely still, unable to speak, because in one sentence, the man she had entered that house calling Sir had become the father she had spent her entire life wondering about. And Zara, the rich girl who insulted her, ordered her around, and accused her of stealing, was no longer simply her employer's daughter. She was her sister. For several seconds after the DNA result was read, nobody in the room knew what to say, because the truth had finally become something they could no longer question. And even though Amaka had prepared herself for the possibility, hearing Chief Raymond say that she was his biological daughter still left her feeling as if the room had shifted around her. Raymond kept staring at her, his eyes filled with tears, while Amaka stood beside Ngozi with her hands held tightly together. Zara was the first person to move. She took a small step backward, shaking her head slowly. No, she whispered. Raymond looked at her. Zara! No, Dad! Her voice became louder. There must be a mistake. Patricia quickly stood from the sofa. Raymond, let me see the paper. Raymond handed it to her without arguing. Patricia read through the result once, then again, as if she hoped the words would change the second time. Her face became harder with each line. These tests can be wrong, she said. Raymond looked at her in disbelief. Patricia, I am only saying we should be certain. We use a recognized laboratory. Then do another one. Why? Because this is not something you accept after one piece of paper. Ngozi sighed tiredly. Nobody forced you to believe me before the test. And now the test has confirmed what I said. What exactly will another test change? Patricia turned sharply toward her. I am not speaking to you. Amaka immediately stepped closer to her mother. Do not speak to my mother like that. Patricia looked at her with shock. It was the first time Amaka had spoken to her without the fear of an employer standing behind every word. Excuse me? Patricia said. Amaka's heart was beating fast, but she did not lower her eyes. You heard me. My mother came here because I called her. She has not insulted you. She has not asked for money. She has not asked to enter your family. So please do not treat her like she has done something wrong. Zara gave a bitter laugh. Look at how quickly you have changed. Amaka turned toward her. Changed? Yesterday you were a house help. Today you are already talking like this is your house. Ngozi touched Amaka's arm gently. Do not argue. But Amaka could not keep quiet anymore. I have not claimed this house. Not yet, Zara replied. That is what all this is about. Raymond's face hardened. Zara, stop. Why should I stop? Everybody is behaving like this is good news. Nobody said that. You are crying over her like you lost 20 years. But what about me? I am standing here watching another girl suddenly become your daughter. Raymond moved closer to her. You are still my daughter. It does not feel like it. Nothing has changed about my love for you. Zara looked at Amaka with anger. Everything has changed. She turned and rushed out of the room. Patricia immediately followed her with her eyes, then looked back at Raymond. You see what this is doing? Raymond rubbed his forehead. What do you want me to do? Tear the results? I want you to think about your family. Amaka is also my family. That sentence landed heavily in the room. Patricia's face tightened as though he had slapped her. Amaka herself looked surprised. She had known the test result for less than 1 minute, yet Raymond had already used the word family. Instead of making her happy, it made something ache inside her because she had spent 20 years without that word from him. She looked at Ngozi and saw tears running quietly down her mother's face. Raymond turned toward Amaka again. I do not know what to say to you. Amaka swallowed. You do not have to say anything now. I should have known. How? I should have found your mother. I should have asked questions. I should not have accepted that she disappeared from my life and left it there. Ngozi looked away. Raymond continued, his voice breaking. You were growing up somewhere in Lagos while I was here. Amaka frowned, her eyes burn. Yes. You went to school, you got sick, you had birthdays, you needed things. You had good days and bad days, and I knew nothing. Amaka looked at him. You were also living your life. Raymond nodded slowly, ashamed. I was. With your wife and daughter? Yes. She looked toward the staircase where Zara had disappeared. She had you. Raymond closed his eyes briefly. Amaka continued quietly. I do not hate Zara because she had a father. She did not do anything wrong by being born into this family. But you need to understand something. I cannot stand here today and suddenly feel like your child because a laboratory says so. My whole life, my mother was both mother and father to me. Ngozi lowered her head as she began crying harder. Amaka held her hand. When I needed school fees, she struggled. When I was sick, she sat beside me. When we had no food, she lied that she had already eaten so I could eat. When rent was due, she begged landlords. When I asked about my father, she carried the pain alone. So I am not going to pretend that one result has fixed everything. Raymond looked at Ngozi with deep regret. I understand. Amaka shook her head. I do not think you do. Not yet. There was no anger in her voice now, only sadness. Raymond accepted the words without defending himself. He nodded. Then I want to understand. Patricia let out a short breath. Raymond, this is becoming too much. Raymond turned toward her. Too much? Yes, we all need time. She has had 20 years of time. Patricia looked offended. And what exactly do you want to do now? Raymond did not hesitate. First, I want to make sure Ngozi receives proper medical treatment. Amaka immediately said, no. Raymond turned to her. What? You do not have to start throwing money at everything. Your mother is sick. I know. And I can help. I know that too. Then why are you saying no? Amaka took a breath. Because I do not want the first thing you do as my father to be opening your wallet. Raymond looked stunned. I was not trying to buy you. Maybe not, but I need time. Ngozi touched her arm. Amaka, medical treatment is different. Mama, no, listen to me. I understand what you are saying, but if he wants to help with my treatment and it will make things easier, I will not reject it because of pride. Amaka looked at her mother. This is not pride. I know, but sickness does not wait for people to settle their emotions. Raymond spoke softly. I will not force anything on you, but please allow me to take care of the medical bills. Not because I think money can repair 20 years. It cannot. Let me do it because I should have been helping all these years and because Ngozi should not suffer more simply because I found out late. Ngozi looked at him for a moment. I will accept treatment, she said, but do not use it to control my daughter. Raymond shook his head immediately. Never. Patricia looked between them, clearly unhappy. So, decisions are now being made in my sitting room without even considering how they affect us? Raymond stared at her. Obviously, getting treatment does not harm you. This is not about hospital bills. You know that. Then say what it is about. Patricia folded her arms. What happens next? Does she move in? Does she start using the family name? Do you introduce her to your business partners? Do you divide everything you have? Do you expect Zara to wake up tomorrow and accept that she has a sister because of something you did before our marriage? Amaka's face changed. Something he did? Patricia looked at her. Do not misunderstand me. I understand you perfectly. You do not. You are talking about me like I am a problem that has entered your house. Patricia opened her mouth, but Amaka continued. I did not ask to be born. I did not ask my mother to suffer. I did not know who Chief Raymond was when I came here. If I had known, I would never have come to work in this house. That is easy to say now, Patricia replied. Ngozi's eyes flashed with anger. What are you saying? I am saying the timing is very convenient. Patricia, Raymond warned. She ignored him. This girl comes into our home, she becomes close enough to notice an old photograph, suddenly her mother appears, and now a DNA test says she's his daughter. You expect me not to question anything? Raymond's voice became firm. The DNA test does not care about timing. Patricia fell silent. Raymond continued. Amaka did not create this situation. I did. My parents did. Ngozi suffered because of it. You are allowed to be shocked. You are allowed to be angry with me, but you will not turn that anger toward her. Patricia stared at him, then picked up her handbag and walked out of the living room without another word. Ngozi exhaled slowly. I think we should go. Raymond quickly said, You do not have to. We do. She looked at Amaka. This is too much for one day. Amaka nodded. Raymond looked as though he wanted them to stay, but he understood. Let me have the driver take you home. Amaka immediately shook her head. No, sir. The word sir hurt Raymond more than he expected. He did not correct her. All right. He reached for his phone. At least, let me arrange the hospital appointment. Amaka gave him the name of the hospital she had been attending. Raymond promised he would contact them and make sure everything needed for her treatment was covered. Amaka listened but said nothing. Before leaving, she looked once toward the staircase. Zara did not come down. Amaka felt a strange pain because only a few weeks earlier, she feared Zara as the rich girl who could make her work harder with one complaint. Now they shared a father, yet the distance between them felt even greater. On the journey home, Ngozi and Amaka sat quietly beside each other in the bus. After a long time, Ngozi said, Are you all right? Amaka looked out the window. I do not know. That is understandable. I thought knowing would make things easier. Sometimes, truth makes things harder before it makes them better. Amaka gave a tired smile. Maybe I did. Then Amaka became serious again. Mama, do you think I should have rejected his help? No. I do not want him thinking he can buy his way into my life. Then tell him that with your actions. Let him help where help is needed, but do not allow money to decide your relationship with him. Amaka rested her head against the seat. I do not even know if I want a relationship with him. Ngozi looked at her. You do not have to decide today. Did you ever imagine this would happen? Never. When I told you where I was working, why didn't you come immediately? Ngozi sighed. Because I was afraid. Of him? Of the past, of what it would do to you, of what it would do to me. I spent years building a life where Raymond no longer mattered. Then suddenly my daughter was living in his house. But you still did not tell me. I know. I am angry about that. Ngozi nodded. You have every right to be. Amaka looked at her. I am not trying to punish you. I know, but I wish you had told me before. I wish many things had happened differently. Ngozi squeezed her hand, but we cannot go backward. The next morning, Raymond called Amaka for the first time. She stared at his name on her phone for several seconds before answering. Hello? Good morning, Amaka. His voice sounded careful. Good morning. I hope I am not disturbing you. No. I spoke with your mother's hospital. They can see her tomorrow morning. I have arranged everything. Amaka glanced at Ngozi, who was sitting nearby. Thank you. There was a pause. Raymond then said, I also wanted to talk to you about school. Amaka immediately became guarded. School? You said you wanted to study business administration or accounting. Yes. I would like to pay for your university education. Amaka closed her eyes. Chief Raymond, please do not say no immediately. You are doing exactly what I asked you not to do. I am not trying to buy you. Then stop solving everything with money. I understand why it feels that way, but education costs money. You had to delay your plans because you did not have enough. If I can remove that problem, why should I not? Amaka remained silent. Raymond continued, I cannot go back and pay the school fees I should have paid when you were 5 or 10 or 15. I cannot be there for the birthdays I missed. I cannot carry you to school as a child, but I can be present now. I do not know how else to begin. His voice sounded so tired that some of Amaka's anger softened. You can begin by talking to me. I am trying, not about money. Ask me normal things. Raymond became quiet. All right. Ask me what food I like. Ask me what I hate. Ask me what I do when I am angry. Ask me why I want to study business. Ask me about my childhood. If you want to know me, know me. Raymond took a slow breath. You are right. Money can come later. All right. And I am not saying I will never accept help with school. I understand. I just do not want to feel like a project. Raymond's voice softened. You are not a project. You are my daughter. Amaka's throat tightened. She was not ready for those words. I have to go, she said quickly. Of course. Thank you for Mama's hospital arrangement. You are welcome. After the call ended, Ngozi looked at her. You are afraid to like him. Amaka frowned. What? You heard me. I am not afraid of anything. Ngozi smiled. You are my daughter. I know your face. I barely know the man. Exactly. Part of you is angry with him, but another part wants to know him. Amaka looked down. Is that wrong? No. Would it hurt you? Ngozi's expression softened. Never think you have to reject your father to protect me. But he hurt you. That was between him and me. You were the innocent person in the middle. If knowing him gives you something you have missed all your life, I will not stand in the way. Amaka reached for her mother's hand. I love you. I know. Over the next 2 weeks, Raymond began to try and do what Amaka had asked. He called her, but not every call was about money. Sometimes he asked simple questions. What is your favorite meal? He asked once. Amaka laughed. Why? You told me to ask normal things. I did. So answer. Rice and stew. That's simple. What were you expecting? Something with a foreign name? Raymond laughed, and for the first time Amaka heard him sound relaxed around her. Another day he asked about her school years, and she told him how she sometimes stayed home because fees had not been paid. Raymond became quiet. You do not have to become sad every time I tell you something. I am trying not to. If you turn every story into a guilt trip, I will stop telling you. Fair enough. Some of my childhood was good too. Tell me those parts. She told him about her closest friend, about running in the rain when she was younger, about Ngozi making special food for her birthdays even when there was little money, and about the first time she came first in her class and her mother danced around their room with the result sheet. Raymond listened to everything. He did not interrupt with promises. He did not offer money. He simply listened, and slowly that made her more comfortable. At the Williams mansion, however, Patricia and Zara became more unsettled. Raymond was taking calls from Amaka. He sometimes visited Ngozi at the hospital. He asked questions about university applications. Zara noticed every single thing. One afternoon, she walked into her father's study and saw a university brochure on his desk. What is this? She asked. Raymond looked up. What does it look like? Is it for her? For Amaka, yes. Zara dropped the brochure back on the desk. Of course. Raymond sighed. Zara! No, it is fine. You have a new daughter to take care of now. Do not start. You bought my first car when I turned 19. Are you buying her one too? What does that have to do with anything? I am just trying to know how this works. Do you have to make everything equal now? Love is not a competition. Easy for you to say. What are you afraid of? Zara laughed. Nothing. That is not true. I am not afraid. Then why are you angry every time I mention her? Zara folded her arms. Because she is everywhere. She does not even live here. That is worse. You are always calling her, you visit her mother, you are looking at schools for her. Those are normal things a father should do. Zara's eyes became wet. You were already my father. Raymond stood and walked toward her. And I still am. But I had you alone. Raymond gently touched her shoulder. That is what this is really about, isn't it? Zara looked away. I do not want to share you. You have always shared me with work, with your mother, with relatives, with responsibilities. Love is not something that finishes because another person receives some. You do not understand. Then help me understand. Zara pulled away. She came into this house and acted innocent. She probably knew. Raymond's face became serious. You know that is not true. Her mother could have told her. Ngozi did not even know whose house she was walking in until Amaka mentioned my full name. That is what they say. Why are you desperate to believe they planned it? Zara did not answer. Raymond studied her face. Did you put your bracelet in Amaka's bag? Zara's eyes widened. What? I have been thinking about it. You are accusing me now? I am asking. I lost my bracelet and it was found in her bag. You were the last person with it. You are also the person who suggested searching the workers' rooms. Zara's breathing changed. I cannot believe this. Look at me and tell me you had nothing to do with it. Zara looked directly at him. I had nothing to do with it. Raymond watched her for a long moment. Zara held his gaze, but when she left the room, her hands were shaking. The truth about the bracelet sat heavily inside her, but her fear of losing her father was still stronger than her guilt. Patricia, meanwhile, became more worried about what Amaka's existence could mean. One evening after dinner, she confronted Raymond in their bedroom. Have you spoken to your lawyer? Raymond looked up from his phone. About what? Do not act like you don't know. I genuinely do not know what you mean. Inheritance. Raymond stared at her. Patricia, we have to discuss it. No, we do not. You have another biological child now. Are you telling me you have not thought about what that means? I have thought about many things. My will is not the first one. It should be. Why? Because we built this life together. Raymond frowned. And Zara has always been your only child. She is no longer my only child. Patricia's jaw tightened. That is exactly what I mean. Amaka will not be treated as less because she grew up poor. Nobody said that. You are saying it without using those exact words. Patricia stood. Do you know what people will say when they hear this? That your daughter was working in our house as a maid. Do you understand the embarrassment? Raymond slowly put down his phone. Whose embarrassment? Ours. Why should Amaka be ashamed? I did not say she should. Then why are you? Patricia stared at him. You know how society works. I do, and I am tired of living for society. You can say that because you are not the one people will laugh at. Raymond stood. Nobody has anything to laugh at except my mistakes. Your friends will talk. Let them. Your business partners will talk. Let them. My family will ask questions. Answer them. Patricia shook her head. You are behaving like none of this matters. It matters less than the fact that my daughter spent 20 years without me. There. Again, your daughter. Every conversation now ends with Amaka. Raymond sighed. Because you turn every conversation into a fight about her. I am protecting my home. From what? A 20-year-old girl who didn't even know I was her father? Patricia said nothing. Raymond lowered his voice. You are angry with me. Be angry with me. But stop treating Amaka like she is an enemy. Patricia turned away, but her warning did not change her mind. Several days later, when Raymond was away at a business meeting and Zara had gone out with friends, Patricia called Amaka directly. Amaka was surprised to see her name on the phone. She answered cautiously. Good afternoon, ma. Amaka, I need to speak to you. About what? Do not act like you don't know. I genuinely do not know what you mean. Come to the house. Amaka immediately felt uncomfortable. Is Chief Raymond there? No. Then why do you want me to come? Patricia's tone became impatient. Because I said I want to speak to you. I am not going to harm you. Amaka hesitated. I can come later. Come now. It will not take long. Amaka told Ngozi where she was going. Ngozi frowned. Be careful. I will. Call me if anything happens. Amaka nodded and left. When she arrived at the mansion, Patricia was waiting in a smaller sitting room. There were no other workers nearby. A large envelope sat on the table. Amaka sat opposite her. You wanted to see me? Patricia looked at her for a moment. I want us to speak woman to woman. Amaka remained quiet. Patricia continued. This situation is difficult for everyone. I know. I do not think you do. What do you want to say? Patricia rested her hands together. You have a life with your mother. You have survived all these years without Raymond. Amaka's eyes narrowed slightly. Yes? And Raymond can help you. Nobody is saying he should abandon you. I did not ask him to abandon me. Let me finish. Patricia pushed the envelope toward her. There is enough money in there to change your life. Amaka stared at the envelope. What is this? Money. I can see that. Take it. Amaka did not touch it. Why? Patricia looked directly at her. Take your mother somewhere better. Get her good treatment, go to university, start a business if you want. Raymond can even continue helping you quietly. Amaka felt something cold settle inside her. Quietly? Yes. What do you want in return? Patricia hesitated for only a second. Stay away from this family. Amaka stared at her, unsure whether she had heard correctly. Excuse me? I am not trying to insult you. Then what are you trying to do? I am protecting what I have built. By paying me to disappear? Do not make it sound ugly. How else should it sound? Patricia's face hardened. You were fine before you knew Raymond. Amaka gave a small, shocked laugh. Fine? You know what I mean. My mother was sick. I had to give up school. I was working in your house because we needed money. That is what you call fine? Patricia shifted uncomfortably. You survived. Yes, we survived. And now that the truth has come out, you think money can put it back inside the drawer where I found that photograph? Amaka, be reasonable. I am being very reasonable. Raymond feels guilty. That guilt is making him act emotionally. He should feel something. He found out he has a daughter. And he can support you without bringing you into our lives. Amaka's eyes filled with anger. Your lives? You know what I mean. No, explain it. Patricia sighed. My marriage, my daughter, our family, the people we know, everything has already become unstable. Because I exist? Because of the situation. The situation is me. Patricia became silent. Amaka stood. Keep your money. Do not be foolish. I said keep it. That amount could pay for everything you have ever wanted. Amaka looked down at the envelope and then back at Patricia. Do you know what I wanted when I was 10? Patricia frowned. What? A father at school events. Do you know what I wanted when I was 13? Someone to tell me why other children had fathers and I did not. Do you know what I wanted when my mother was sick? I wanted to know there was another adult somewhere I could call. Can this envelope buy those years? Patricia looked away. No. Then do not insult me with it. I am offering you security. I did not come here asking for security. Then what do you want? Amaka's voice softened. The chance to know who my father is. That is all. I do not want your husband. I do not want Zara's bedroom. I do not want her clothes, car, or life. I do not want to replace anybody, but I will not agree to disappear because my existence makes you uncomfortable. Patricia's expression became cold. You think this will end well for you? Amaka looked at her steadily. I do not know how it will end, but at least I will not sell myself to make you comfortable. She turned and walked toward the door. Raymond called after her. If you walk away from this offer, do not come back later pretending you had no choice. Amaka stopped and looked over her shoulder. I have lived 20 years with very little. I know I can survive without your money. Then she left. Amaka had no intention of telling Raymond immediately because she did not want another fight. But she told Ngozi what had happened. Ngozi was furious. She offered you money to disappear? Yes. And you went there alone? Mama, that is not the important part. It is important to me. I'm fine. Ngozi paced slowly around the room. I knew that woman did not want us near them, but this is too much. Please do not call Raymond. Why not? Because I do not want it to look like I am trying to cause problems in his marriage. Ngozi stopped. You did not cause their problem. I know, but I do not want to become the reason they fight every day. Ngozi looked at her daughter. You are still trying to protect everybody. Amaka sighed. I'm tired. Then rest, but do not hide what she did forever. The truth came out sooner than Amaka expected. 2 days later, Raymond visited Ngozi's apartment for the first time. He had offered to meet Amaka somewhere else, but she told him that if he wanted to understand my life, he should see where I had grown up. Raymond arrived without a driver and without expensive gifts. When he stepped into the small compound, several neighbors stared because his clothes and car clearly showed that he did not belong. Amaka was standing outside waiting for him. You found it? Yes. Raymond looked around. You grew up here? Mostly. He nodded slowly. I could already see guilt returning to his face. Do not start. Raymond looked at her. Start what? Looking like you want to cry. Despite everything, he smiled. I'm trying. She led him inside. Ngozi was sitting on the bed. Raymond greeted her quietly. She nodded. There was still tension between them, but it was not as sharp as before. Raymond looked around the room. He noticed the old cupboard, the mattress Amaka had slept on, the small stove, the medicine beside Ngozi's bed. He did not say anything for several moments. Amaka watched him carefully. This is where we live. Raymond nodded. I see. Say what you are thinking. I do not know what I am thinking. That is a first. Ngozi smiled faintly. Raymond sat on one of the plastic chairs. I brought the university information we discussed. He handed Amaka a folder. There are a few schools you can apply to. You choose. I will not choose for you. Amaka opened it and smiled slightly. Thank you. You are welcome. They talked for nearly an hour. Raymond asked about the neighborhood, Amaka's childhood, and Ngozi's food business. At one point, he said, I remember you wanted to open a restaurant. Ngozi looked surprised. You remember that? Of course. It was a long time ago. You used to talk about it every week. Ngozi smiled despite herself. I was young. You are serious. The memory made the room quiet for a moment. Amaka looked between them. She could see there had once been something real between these two people, but she could also see how much pain had grown around it. Then, Raymond noticed the worried expression on Ngozi's face. What is wrong? Nothing. Ngozi. She glanced at Amaka. Amaka immediately shook her head. Mama, please. Raymond looked between them. What happened? Nothing happened. Ngozi sighed. Patricia called Amaka to the house 2 days ago. Raymond's face changed. Why? Amaka stood. Mama, he should know. Raymond looked at Amaka. Why did she call you? Amaka did not answer. Ngozi said, she offered her money to stay away from you and your family. Raymond stood so quickly that the plastic chair moved backward. What? It is done, Amaka said. I refused. Raymond's face became dark with anger. She did what? Please do not go home and start shouting. She tried to pay you to disappear. Yes, and you did not tell me. Because I knew you would react exactly like this. How am I supposed to react? Calmly. Raymond laughed in disbelief. Calmly? Ngozi spoke firmly. Do not bring your marriage fight here. Raymond took a breath and tried to control himself. You are right. I am sorry. He looked at Amaka. What exactly did she say? Amaka told him. By the time she finished, Raymond looked deeply hurt as well as angry. I am sorry. Amaka shook her head. You do not have to apologize for everything Patricia does. She is my wife, and I am not asking you to leave her. I know. I only need you to make sure she understands that I am not going anywhere because she pays me. Raymond nodded slowly. She will understand. When he returned home that evening, Patricia was in the bedroom. Raymond closed the door behind him. Did you offer Amaka money to leave my life? Patricia froze for 1 second before turning toward him. Who told you? Does it matter? Did she run to you immediately? No, she did not tell me. Ngozi did. Patricia rolled her eyes. Of course. Raymond stepped closer. Answer me. Yes, I offered her money. Raymond stared at her. How could you do that? I was trying to solve a problem. My daughter is a problem? Stop using that word like it ends every conversation. It should end this one. Patricia stood. You do not understand what I am trying to protect. No, Patricia, I understand perfectly. You are protecting your pride, my family. By humiliating my child, I did not humiliate her. I offered her more money than she has probably ever seen. Do you hear yourself? Patricia's face tightened. I am tired of being made to look like a terrible person because I refuse to celebrate a situation that has turned my life upside down. Raymond lowered his voice. You do not have to celebrate it, but you have to respect her. Why? Because she is a human being. Even before we knew she was my daughter, she deserved respect. Patricia looked away. Raymond continued. Do you know what is worse? Zara learned this behavior from you. Patricia turned sharply. Do not bring my daughter into this. I will, because it is true. The way she spoke to Amaka while Amaka worked here, the way she treated her like someone beneath her, the constant insults, the way she believed being rich made her more important. Where do you think she learned that? Patricia's eyes widened. From me? Yes. So now I am a bad mother too? I did not say that. You did not have to. I am saying we both failed in different ways. I failed a daughter I did not know existed because I allowed my parents to control my life. You are failing the daughter we raised because you taught her to measure people by money. Neither of them noticed that Zara had stopped outside the bedroom door. She had come to ask Patricia something, but when she heard her name, she remained still. Inside, Patricia said, Zara has never lacked manners. Raymond laughed sadly. She framed Amaka. Outside the door, Zara's body became stiff. Patricia frowned. What are you talking about? The bracelet. There is no proof. I asked Zara about it. She lied to my face. Patricia stared at him. You cannot accuse your own child because of Amaka. Listen to yourself. Amaka is also my child. Zara felt tears fill her eyes. Raymond continued. Even if Zara did not plant that bracelet, the way she treated Amaka was wrong. We watched it. You encouraged it. I ignored too much because I was always busy. That is on me too. Patricia sat down slowly. So what do you want from me? Stop fighting a 20-year-old girl for existing. Stop making this about inheritance and society. Stop asking her to disappear. She is going to be recognized as my daughter, legally, publicly, and privately. I will not hide her because you are embarrassed. Patricia looked at him. And if I cannot accept that? Raymond's face was sad. Then we will have a serious problem. Outside the room, Zara covered her mouth. For the first time, her father's words did not only make her angry, they made her ashamed. She slowly walked back to her bedroom and closed the door. She sat on the edge of her bed and looked around. Her room was large, beautiful, and filled with things. Clothes hung in a wardrobe bigger than Amaka's entire room at home. Shoes covered 2 shelves. Makeup, perfumes, and handbags were arranged neatly. Her laptop sat on the desk. Her phone was in her hand. Everything she had ever wanted had usually been available. Then she remembered Amaka washing those clothes, cleaning those shoes, picking up the rubbish Zara deliberately left behind. She remembered telling her friends that workers became lazy if they were allowed to relax. She remembered planting the bracelet. Until that moment, Zara had managed to tell herself she had done it because Amaka was trying to enter her family. But the truth was that she had planted the bracelet before anyone knew Amaka was Raymond's daughter. She had done it simply because she disliked a poor girl who was receiving a little kindness from her father. The thought made her uncomfortable. She stood and walked to the mirror. For the first time, she did not like the person looking back at her. Still, change did not come immediately. The next few days, Zara remained distant and sometimes cold. She did not suddenly call Amaka or apologize. She still felt jealous whenever Raymond left to see her. She still worried about money and attention. But guilt had entered her anger, and once guilt entered, it became harder for her to believe she had done nothing wrong. One Saturday afternoon, Raymond asked Zara to accompany him to visit Ngozi. Zara immediately refused. "Why?" he asked. "I do not want to." "Have you ever been there?" "No." "Then come with me." "Dad, please. I am not forcing you to love anyone. I am asking you to see something with your own eyes." Zara folded her arms. "What?" "Your sister's life. Do not call her that." Raymond looked at her calmly. "She is your sister, whether you like the word or not." Zara rolled her eyes, but after several minutes of argument, she finally agreed. When they reached Amaka's neighborhood, Zara stared through the car window. The roads were crowded, children played near the gutter, small shops stood beside old buildings, women sold food by the roadside. Zara had passed areas like that before, but she had never entered one and never imagined someone connected to her family lived there. When Raymond parked, Zara looked at him. "This is where she lives?" "Yes." Zara said nothing. They walked into the compound. Amaka was outside hanging clothes when she saw them. Her expression immediately changed when she noticed Zara. "What are you doing here?" Zara almost replied sharply, but Raymond answered first. "I asked her to come." Amaka looked at Zara again. "Why?" Zara shrugged. "Ask him." Ngozi appeared at the door. "Who is there?" She saw them and paused. Raymond greeted her. Zara gave a small, uncomfortable greeting. Ngozi replied politely and invited them inside. Zara entered the room and stopped. She tried not to stare, but she could not help it. The place was clean, but it was very small. She saw the bed, the thin mattress folded near the wall, the old cupboard, and the medicine on the table. Her eyes moved toward Amaka. "You slept here?" she asked before she could stop herself. Amaka looked at the mattress. "Yes." "On that?" "Yes." Zara looked away. She remembered complaining once because the mattress in a hotel room was too hard. Ngozi offered them water. Zara expected bottled water, then realized there was none. Amaka brought a clean cup and poured water from a covered container. Zara took it quietly. There was no air conditioner, only a standing fan that made a small noise as it turned. The heat made Zara uncomfortable within minutes. Amaka noticed her wiping her forehead. "You can sit closer to the fan." Zara looked embarrassed. "I am fine." Raymond and Ngozi began discussing her next hospital appointment. Zara sat silently looking around. On the wall was an old school photograph of Amaka in uniform. Beside it was another picture of her and Ngozi smiling at a small birthday cake. Zara stood and looked closer. "How old were you here?" she asked. Amaka came beside her. 15. "That cake is tiny." Amaka looked at her. "It was what we could afford." Zara immediately regretted the comment. "I did not mean it is fine." "Was that your birthday?" "Yes." "Did you have a party?" Amaka laughed. "The cake was the party." Zara stared at the picture. "Oh." She remembered her own 15th birthday. Her parents had rented a hall. There had been decorations, a DJ, food, gifts, and dozens of guests. Raymond had given her a phone that year. She suddenly wondered what Amaka had received. "What did your mother give you?" Zara asked. Amaka smiled. "The cake." "That is all?" "And she made my favorite food." Zara looked at Ngozi. "You did all this alone?" Ngozi nodded. "I did what I could." Zara sat down again. Something inside her was becoming very uncomfortable. After some time, Raymond stepped outside to answer a business call. Ngozi went to the back of the compound to speak with a neighbor. For the first time, Zara and Amaka were alone. Neither spoke for several seconds. Zara finally said, "I did not know you lived like this." Amaka looked at her. "How did you think I lived?" "I do not know. You never asked." Zara looked down. "You probably hate me." "I did for a while." Zara looked up quickly. Amaka continued, "Maybe hate is too strong, but I definitely did not like you." Zara almost smiled, but she stopped herself. "You were rude too sometimes." Amaka gave her a look. "Zara. Fine, I was worse. Much worse. You do not have to enjoy it." "I am not enjoying anything." Zara became quiet. Then she said, "I thought you wanted my life." Amaka stared at her. "Why?" "Because you were always around my father. I walked in his house. I know. You thought I somehow planned all of this? At first, even before we knew the truth, you treated me badly." Zara looked away. "I know. Why?" Zara struggled to answer. "I do not know." "Yes, you do." Zara's eyes filled with shame. "Because I thought I was better than you." Amaka did not respond. Zara continued, "I know how that sounds." "It sounds honest. Mom always said people who worked for us needed to know their place. I never thought about it. It was just normal in our house. It was not normal to me. I know that now." Amaka crossed her arms. "Do you?" Zara looked around the room again. "I did not know what it meant for you to need that job. I thought if you did not like it, you could just leave." Amaka laughed softly. "And then do what?" "I did not think about that." "Exactly." Zara's eyes became wet. "There is something else." Amaka watched her. "What?" Zara's hand began trembling. "The bracelet." Amaka's face changed immediately. Zara looked down. "You were right." "About what?" "I put it in your bag." Amaka stared at her in silence. Zara could not look up. "I wanted Mom to send you away." Amaka's face filled with anger. "You let everyone call me a thief." "I know." "You watched me cry." "I know." "Your mother almost threw me out like a criminal." "I know. And you stood there lying." Zara started crying. "I am sorry." Amaka stepped back. "Do not cry like you are the victim." Zara quickly wiped her face. "I am not." "Do you understand what you could have done to me? What if your father had not come home? What if your mother had called the police?" Zara looked horrified. "I did not think that far." "That is your problem. You never had to think far because you knew you would be safe." Zara lowered her head. "You are right. You could have destroyed my name." "I know." "No, you are only beginning to know." Amaka turned away because she was too angry to continue looking at her. Zara stood. "I will tell Dad." Amaka turned back. "What?" "I will tell him the truth." "Why now?" "Because I cannot keep it anymore." Amaka studied her face. "Do not confess because you think it will make me like you." "I do not." "Good. I just want to stop lying." Amaka looked toward the door where Raymond was still outside. "Then tell him." When Raymond returned, Zara asked him to sit. Ngozi had also come back. Zara stood in the middle of the small room with tears in her eyes. "Dad, I lied about the bracelet." Raymond became still. "What?" "I put it in Amaka's bag." Ngozi's face changed immediately. Raymond stared at Zara as if he did not recognize her. "Why?" Zara began crying. "I wanted her to leave." "Why?" "Because I was jealous. Because you kept talking to my father. Because I thought she was trying to become important in the house." Raymond closed his eyes. Ngozi looked furious, but Amaka touched her arm. "Mama?" Raymond asked, "Do you understand what you did?" Zara nodded. "Yes." "No, I don't think you do." "I do now. You accused an innocent person of theft." "I know. You could have gotten her arrested." Zara covered her mouth. "I am sorry." Raymond looked at Amaka. "I am so sorry." Amaka sighed. "You did not put it there, but I raised her." Zara looked at him painfully. "Dad." Raymond turned back to her. "You will apologize properly, not just today. You will also tell your mother the truth." Zara nodded. "I will." "And the other workers who were there that morning, they need to know Amaka was innocent." Zara swallowed. "Okay." Amaka watched her. Part of her was still angry. But another part saw how difficult the confession had been. It did not erase what Zara had done, but it was the first honest step she had taken. The following day, Zara told Patricia the truth. Patricia was shocked and angry, but instead of immediately blaming Amaka, she turned towards Zara. "You planted it?" Zara nodded. "Why would you do something like that?" Zara's eyes filled with tears. "Because I learned from you that people like her could be treated however we wanted." Patricia stared at her. "Do not put this on me. I am not saying you told me to plant a bracelet, but you always said workers needed to know their place. You never stopped me when I spoke badly to her. Sometimes you joined me." Patricia looked away. Zara continued. "Dad was right." That sentence hurt Patricia deeply. "So now everybody is against me?" "No, Mom. I am trying to tell you I was wrong." Patricia sat down. For the first time, she seemed to have no argument ready. Over the next few weeks, things began changing slowly. Raymond made it clear that Amaka would be recognized legally as his daughter. He arranged the necessary documents and spoke with his lawyer. Patricia argued at first. "Do you have to make everything public?" she asked. Raymond answered, "I am not holding a press conference, but I will not lie about her or hide her. If someone asks how many daughters I have, the answer is 2. Patricia looked at him. "And your will?" "Will reflect the fact that I have 2 children. Equal?" Raymond looked at her calmly. "They are both my daughters." Patricia became angry, but he did not change his answer. After several days, she stopped arguing because she could see that the more she fought, the further Raymond moved emotionally away from her. Zara also began speaking differently. She no longer complained every time Raymond mentioned Amaka. She even started asking questions. One evening, she called Amaka. Amaka looked at the phone in surprise before answering. "Hello?" Zara sounded awkward. "Hi." "Hi." There was silence. "Why did you call?" Amaka asked. "Do I need a reason?" "Considering our history, yes." Zara sighed. "Fair." "So?" "Dad said you are applying to university." "Yes." "Which one?" Amaka told her. "That is a good school." "I know." "What course?" "Business administration." Zara paused. "You really like business?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I grew up watching my mother struggle with a small food business. She worked hard, but did not always know how to save, grow, or organize it properly. I used to think if I understood business, maybe one day I could build something better." Zara became quiet. "That makes sense. What do you study?" Zara told her. Amaka laughed. "I worked in your house for weeks. I never knew that. Because I never talked to you like a normal person." "True. You do not have to agree so quickly. I like honesty." Zara laughed a little. It was the first time they shared a real laugh. Their relationship remained uncomfortable, but small moments began appearing between the tension. Zara sometimes sent Amaka information about university life. Amaka helped Zara once when she needed ideas for a simple business assignment. They still argued, especially when Zara said something careless about money, and Amaka often reminded her that not everyone could solve problems by buying something. But the argument slowly began to sound less like enemies fighting and more like 2 young women learning how different their world had been. Patricia changed much more slowly. She remained polite but distant whenever Amaka came to the house. One afternoon, Amaka visited Raymond to discuss her school admission, and Patricia walked into the sitting room. For a moment, both women simply looked at each other. Amaka stood. "Good afternoon, Ma." Patricia nodded. "Good afternoon." There was an awkward silence. Then Patricia said, "Your mother, how is she?" Amaka was surprised. "She is improving. The doctors say the treatment is helping." "Good." Patricia looked as though she wanted to leave, but she stopped. "About the money I offered you." Amaka's face became guarded. Patricia continued, "I should not have done that." Amaka waited. "I was angry and afraid," Patricia said. "I thought if you entered this family, everything I had would become less secure. I did not ask for your marriage." "Yes, I know that now. And I never wanted to take Zara's place." Patricia nodded slowly. I know. Amaka studied her face. Are you apologizing? Patricia almost looked offended by the direct question, but after a moment, she said, yes. Amaka nodded. Thank you. Patricia seemed surprised that Amaka did not make her suffer for the apology. That is all? What do you want me to say? I do not know. I am still hurt by how you treated me. An apology does not erase that. Patricia looked down. I understand. But I do not want to spend my life fighting you. Neither do I. Amaka gave a small nod. It was not forgiveness yet, but it was a beginning. Months passed. Ngozi became much stronger because she was receiving proper treatment and no longer skipping medicine to save money. Raymond visited her sometimes, but their relationship remained respectful and careful. They did not pretend the past had disappeared. One afternoon, while Ngozi was outside speaking with a neighbor, Raymond and Ngozi sat alone. Raymond said quietly, I am sorry I did not fight harder for you. Ngozi looked at him. We were young. That does not excuse me. No, but we cannot spend the rest of our lives punishing ourselves. Do you forgive me? Ngozi smiled sadly. I forgave you a long time ago. I just did not want you back. Raymond nodded. Fair enough. You have a wife. I know. And whatever problem is in your marriage, do not use me as an escape. Raymond almost laughed. You have not changed. Neither have you. You still make life harder than it needs to be. They both smiled, and for the first time, the past between them felt less like an open wound. When Amaka received her university admission, she ran into the room holding the message on her phone. Mama! Ngozi sat up. What happened? I got it. Got what? Admission! Ngozi screamed so loudly that a neighbor came to the door to see what was wrong. Amaka laughed and hugged her mother. They cried together. The first person Ngozi told Amaka to call was Raymond. Amaka hesitated for his second, then called him. Hello? Raymond answered. I got admission. There was silence for 1 second. Then Raymond shouted, You got it? Amaka laughed. Yes, I knew you would. You did not know. Let me enjoy the moment. She could hear him moving around. What are you doing? Looking for my car keys. Why? I am coming. You do not have to come immediately. My daughter just got university admission. I am coming. The word daughter no longer hurt the way it had before. It still felt new, but it had begun to find a place inside her. That evening, Raymond arrived with a cake. Zara came with him. Amaka looked at the large box and laughed. This is too much. Zara looked at the small birthday photograph on the wall and said, I thought we could improve on the cake situation this time. Amaka stared at her, then burst out laughing. Ngozi laughed too. Even Raymond joined them. They ate together inside the small room, and although the setting was simple, Raymond later realized it was one of the happiest evenings he had experienced in years. A few weeks before Amaka was due to begin university, Raymond suggested that she move into the mansion. There is enough space, he said. You should not have to travel so far. Amaka thought about it, but shook her head. No. Raymond looked disappointed. Why? Because I am not ready. Patricia will not stop you. That is not the reason. Then what? Amaka looked at Ngozi. This is my home. Raymond nodded slowly. I understand. I want to start school from here. Maybe one day things will change, but I do not want to move from being the maid in your house to suddenly sleeping in a large bedroom there like none of the past happened. I need my life to change slowly. Raymond accepted it. All right. But I will visit. Good. And stop buying things without asking me. Raymond gave him a warning look. Dad? The word left her mouth before she could stop it. Everyone became still. Amaka's eyes widened. Raymond looked as though he had forgotten how to breathe. Zara, who was sitting nearby, smiled first. Well, she said, that took long enough. Amaka threw a cushion at her. Zara laughed and ducked. Raymond looked away quickly, pretending to adjust his watch because his eyes had filled with tears. Amaka saw it and smiled but did not embarrass him. On her first day of university, Ngozi woke up early even though Amaka told her she did not need to. Raymond arrived to drive her and Zara came along because she said she wanted to see the campus. Patricia surprised everyone by coming outside before they left. She handed Amaka a small bag. Amaka looked at it suspiciously. Patricia almost smiled. It is not money. Amaka opened it and found a simple wristwatch. For score, Patricia said. You do not have to take it if you don't want to. Amaka looked at her for a moment, then put it on. Thank you. Patricia nodded. Study hard. I will. Zara walked toward the car and said, "Can we go before she becomes emotional?" Patricia looked at her. "Zara, I am joking." Amaka laughed. They entered the car. As they drove away, Amaka looked back at her mother waving from the compound and felt tears in her eyes. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined when she first entered the Williams mansion carrying a small bag and wondering how people could live with so much. She had not become rich overnight in her heart. She had not forgotten where she came from. She had not forgotten the nights she cried after Zara humiliated her, the medicine Ngozi could not afford, the old photograph in Raymond's study, or the bracelet that nearly destroyed her name. Those things were still part of her story, but they no longer controlled where the story would end. Zara also carried the past with her. She could not erase the cruel things she had done, and Amaka did not pretend they never happened, but Zara was learning to become someone different. She began visiting Ngozi sometimes without Raymond. At first, she felt awkward sitting in the small room, but soon she became comfortable enough to bring food and sit for hours. One day, Ngozi looked at the two girls arguing over a television program and laughed. "What?" Amaka asked. "Nothing." "Mama, tell us." Ngozi smiled. "If someone had told me months ago that the two of you would sit here fighting over a remote control like sisters, I would have sent the person away." Zara laughed. "We are not fighting like sisters." Amaka pulled the remote from her hand. "Give me that." Zara tried to take it back. "See, she is still wicked." Amaka laughed. "You should know." Zara stopped laughing for a second, but Amaka smiled at her to show that she was not trying to reopen the old wound. Zara smiled back. Patricia still struggled at times, especially when people began learning that Raymond had another daughter. There were questions, whispers, and a few rude comments from people she once cared too much about impressing. But each time Patricia expected disaster, nothing truly happened. The world continued. Raymond's business did not collapse. Their friends did not disappear. Zara did not lose her place. Slowly, Patricia began to understand that most of the shame had existed only in her own mind. One evening, she sat beside Zara after a family dinner and watched Amaka and Raymond laughing over something on his phone. Patricia said quietly, "Does it bother you?" Zara looked at them and shook her head. "Not like before." "Why?" Zara thought for a moment. "Because Dad did not stop being my father." Patricia looked at her daughter. Zara continued, "I thought if Amaka got something, it meant I had lost something. But it does not work like that." Patricia gave a small smile. "You sound very wise." Zara laughed. "Do not get used to it." Patricia watched Amaka again. "I treated her badly." "We both did." "You apologized." "You did too." "It does not feel like enough." Zara looked at her mother. "Then keep doing better." Patricia nodded slowly. That became the lesson everyone in the family had to learn. Truth did not repair everything in one day. A DNA result could prove who someone's father was, but it could not create 20 years of memories. An apology could begin healing, but it could not erase pain. Money could provide medicine, education, and comfort, but it could not replace love that should have been given long before. What finally began to heal them was not one dramatic moment, but many small choices made again and again. Raymond called when he said he would call. He attended Amaka's school events. He listened when she was angry instead of trying to buy her happiness. Ngozi allowed her daughter to know him without making her feel guilty. Zara learned to apologize through actions, not only words. Patricia slowly stopped seeing Amaka as a threat and began seeing her as a young woman who had also been hurt by decisions she never made. Amaka, in return, allowed herself to accept love without forgetting the woman who had raised her. One evening, several months later, Amaka and Zara stood outside the Williams mansion after a family dinner. Zara leaned against the car while Amaka waited for Raymond to finish speaking with Ngozi on the phone before driving her home. Zara looked at Amaka and smiled. "Do you ever think about the first day you came here?" Amaka laughed. "Every time I see that front door. I was terrible." "You were? Can you stop agreeing so quickly?" "No." Zara laughed. "I still cannot believe you are working here." Amaka looked up at the large house. Neither can I. And now you are my sister. Amaka turned toward her. Half-sister. Zara frowned. Do not start that. I am only being accurate. You are annoying. So are you. They both smiled. Zara became quiet for a moment. Do you think we would have liked each other if we had grown up together? Amaka thought about it. Probably not. Zara looked offended. Why? Because you would still have been spoiled. And you would still have been stubborn. Exactly. Zara laughed. Maybe we would have fought every day. Probably. But at least we would have known. Amaka's smile softened. Yes, at least we would have known. Raymond came outside at that moment and looked at the two of them. What are you discussing? Zara immediately said, Nothing. Amaka said, She is insulting me. Liar, Zara replied. Raymond shook his head. I found one daughter and somehow gained twice the noise. Zara opened the car door. You are welcome. Amaka laughed and followed. As they prepared to leave, she looked once more at the mansion where everything had started. She had entered that house as a poor girl, looking for money to save her sick mother. Zara had seen her only as a servant. Patricia had seen her as someone beneath their family. Raymond had seen a face that reminded him of a past he thought was gone. None of them had known that behind the difference in clothes, money, education, and lifestyle, two 20-year-old girls were connected by the same father. Now, Amaka did not need to become Zara, and Zara did not need to lose anything for Amaka to have a place. They were still very different. Their lives had been shaped by different homes, different struggles, and different opportunities, but they were no longer maid and madame. They were no longer strangers standing on opposite sides of wealth. They were sisters, learning each other slowly, carrying a complicated past they had not created, and choosing not to allow the mistakes of their parents to decide the kind of women they would become. The moral lesson is that wealth does not make one person better than another, and we should never look down on people because of their background or position in life. The person you mistreat today may be connected to you in ways you never expected. Pride, jealousy, and class discrimination can destroy relationships, but truth, humility, forgiveness, and genuine change can heal even deep wounds. Thanks for watching this amazing story on African Stories by V. If you liked it and felt inspired, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories by V, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.